Hello, everyone, welcome back. Let's continue last time we left off. I know we did not finish last time, but we got close to it though. I know we started a little bit of the chapter, like 9 minutes in, but like almost 10 minutes, but let's continue from there.
Yes, so a Super Sentai knockoff. Kazuma agreed. He looked to Izuku. Right, back me up here, man. Izuku, however, was too busy clutching his stomach and laughing. He'd been nervous before, but those feelings were completely forgotten. Yeah, I've never heard of either of those, Takoyami said with a shrug. But it was certainly on something. We should practice something like that for when we go into battle. Will you all shut up? Aqua demanded. You are ruining my wedding ceremony. Oh, relax, Aqua, this is Hatsume's show. Besides, Izuku seemed to enjoy it, and that's what matters, Kazuma said. He gave Megumin a thumbs up. 10 points. Yes, Megumin said, grinning as the girls walked up to the dais. I told you all the practice would pay off. That was fun. We should do weddings more often, May said, grinning widely at Izuku. What did you think? That was way better than all the boring stuff. I loved it, Izuku said, going over to take May's hands, and it was definitely more you than anything else I thought would happen. Can we get? Aqua demanded. Oh, just get to the good part already, May said. We all know we're both going to say yes anyway. Aqua, fine. Yes, Izuku. I love Izuku very much and want to marry him and make lots of babies together. And not just the invention kind. May interrupt. Aqua sighed with a hand on her face. Great, there was then we rent reality asunder, Megumin cried. Izuku then finally noticed the two he had. No, I joined these two in holy matrimony, and I, Aqua Goddess, to bind these two. You may kill, Megumin cackled. Kindle, Kazuma said as he and Takoyami held up two flares, each coming to life, spraying the stage in sparks. Izuku and May finally came together, their mouths meeting as they ignored the chaos around them and instead found solace in one another, even as a ranting Aqua began chasing a giggling Megumin around the dais. They separated, grinning and holding each other. That boy said, wiping water off his face, was perhaps the most bizarre wedding I've ever seen. Stick around. Dark Shadow chuckled, now shrunken and sitting on Takoyami's shoulder. With this bunch around, something weirder is bound to happen. I do not doubt that a strange demon. Boys agreed. He shrugged and smiled. Well, my lord shall. Yes, mate, we're going to have sex. Boys coughed, going red and trying in vain to hide a smile. Yes, that is the traditional activity after one is wed. Come. Izuku and May were led to a lavish suite consisting of rooms, consisting of a giant four-poster bed and a large assortment of other amenities ensuring complete privacy. They were then left alone, still dripping wet on a lush rug. Well, you look nice. Izuku managed, unsure of how to proceed from here. Not that he didn't understand the general mechanics of the thing, just that now he was here he wasn't certain on what to do. I'm wet and cold, May complained. Aren't you? Come on and help me take these off. After that, Izuku figured things out pretty quickly. Even in the midst of the most terrifying time of his life, he had managed to find joy.
No, that's 16.
16 lying on top of
This is mostly gonna be 18 plus, more or less, but we know that shit, okay? Just because I told you that earlier, last chapter, there's gonna be 18 plus stuff, so let's continue.
the tangled bed sheets. Kazuma and Megumin both panted for breath as they embraced on another. I think that's everything. But well, you know, Kazuma gasped, grinning proudly at Megumin. Yes, Megumin agreed, a smug look on her flushed face. I guess no one can call you a virgin anymore. Hey now, technically, we're both still virgins. Kazuma protested, a lazy grin creeping across his lips. Yeah, no, nice try though. Good grief. Kazuma and Megumin let out a squawk of panic, clinging tighter to one another at the sudden voice. Who is? Megumin demanded. I'll blow them to bits. Exp not inside, Kazuma cried, covering her mouth. But he still glared at the drapes around them. Skinning this bastard alive, however, isn't off the table. Where's my sword? Megumin giggled. Still worn out, it looks like. Not that. I mean Shunshin Maru. Kazuma stuck his hand out to the dresser beyond the drapes, fumbling around for a moment. He also grabbed Megumin's staff, tossing it to her as he brandished his sword. Then the both of them stuck their heads out of the drapes, weapons at the ready. Kazuma blinked at the sight that greeted them. Whatever he had expected, a harried-looking Japanese sailorman in a cheap suit, wasn't it? Despite the fact that it was the middle of the night, the man wore sunglasses and was yawning into his hand. Will you two quit screwing around, literally and metaphorically, and get out here already? The sailorman complained, glancing at a watch on his wrist tiredly. Look, I'm very busy, and I just don't have time for this right now. Good grief, you goddesses picked the worst times for this. Hey man, what the hell are you doing here? This is our private room. Kazuma, yes, and I left specific instructions that I would explode anyone, Megumin. So if you don't leave right now, so help me, I'll. Yeah, let's just take this somewhere else. You're clearly not going to cooperate. The sailorman sighed, snapping his fingers. The next thing Kazuma knew, he was sitting naked in a chair itself, floating in a pool of light, a shocked-looking Megumin in an identical chair next to him, equally devoid of coverings. All right, let's just get down to it. The salaryman said, sighing again and sitting down across from them, a chair of his own suddenly manifesting. He took out a pen from his front pocket and clicked it, a clipboard appearing in a flash of color in his hands. Let's see, you're the goddess of explosions. Since when did we have a goddess of explosions? What are you doing? Megumin cried, jumping behind her chair and trying to hide. This is inappropriate. I am a goddess, you know. You can't just treat me like this. Yet Kazuma agreed from his own position, hiding behind his chair and trying to cover himself, while also trying to get an eyeful of Megumin. The lighting was doing interesting things to her sweat-covered skin, to say the least, and she always was cute when she was angry. I know, that's what I just said. Let's see, you were recruited by, oh good grief. Of course, Aqua, I should have known. The sailorman rubbed his temples. Ugh, what was the chief thinking when she created Aqua? That goddess has been nothing but trouble. Well, I mean, yeah, but at least she doesn't kidnap people and make them answer questions while they are naked. Kazuma shouted. Oh, right, sorry. Here the sailorman snapped his fingers, and two sets of robes appeared on the chairs. Kazuma and Megumin quickly scrambled into them, still glaring at their abductor. Just who the hell are you anyway? Kazuma demanded. The god of cock-blocking assholes. You can call me John Smith, the man said, leafing through his clipboard. I'm the god of, well, basically everything, though officially I'm the director of personnel or something. I'm from upper management. Kazuma and Megumin shared a worried look, then slowly sat down in their chairs, feeling their indignation give way to subtle fear. Aqua had always warned them to stay away from upper management or getting their attention, mostly because it would likely result in them being kicked out of the divine realm. So Smith said, looking up with a hangdog expression. Congratulations. You slept with a goddess and Slasher your first mortal. Huzzah, there are, of course, consequences, Mr. Wait. This can't be right. You're human, how are you 215? Where have you, oh good grief? I don't know what you're talking about, Kazuma said. I'm obviously 17. Or was it 18? Look, see, I was an ordinary Japanese high school student and no, you are a shut-in neat that got swept up in our Ice Guy program because those types are desperate enough that they'll let us throw them into the most absurd situations with minimal complaints. Smith interrupted, his eyes darting back and forth on the page before him. Okay, just what was Aqua up to? She kept you here in the divine realm for centuries. What were you even doing all that time? I'm playing video games together mostly, Megumin admitted. Smith looked up at her, scowling, then flipped through a few pages. Oh, you have to be kidding me. Of course, you two knew each other as mortals, and finally decided to consummate your relationship the moment you got sent back to the mortal realm. Well, since you're both technically inhabitants of the divine realm, I guess that makes you both gods, which makes this even weirder somehow. So do I get to keep empowering my followers? Megumin asked, clutching her staff nervously. We really need them to finish taking down the Lord of the Tomb, and well, we were trying to stay technical virgins, so, oh please. Just because you two managed to avoid sticking it in a single orifice when you thoroughly exploited every other way of getting each other off does not make you virgins by any but the most asinine of definitions. I'm not stupid, and neither is the chief, Smith told them, sounding completely exasperated. I swear, every god and goddess tries this the first time. Let's step back a second, though. You're actually fighting Nazarick, and you haven't been utterly crushed yet. I'm the Great Tomb. Yeah, we've iced a bunch of generals. Kazuma said, not too sure about the sudden topic shift. We killed the Duke of Terror, this robot maid, a lightning wizard maid, and a weird girl who summoned an army of goblins. My group took out the Wolf Queen, a predator slime, and a weird bug monster, and they all looked like maids too. Naturally, my incredible mastery of explosion magic was key to our success, and I personally dealt the finishing blow to it. Kazuma rolled his eyes and interrupted. The kids with the weird quirks got most of the kills, you know, the ones from that crazy future version of Japan. Smith sat back, looking gobsmacked, while Megumin glared at Kazuma. You've taken out 5 of the Pleiades and 2 area-level guardians. That's okay. Well then, look, we're going to make an exception for now. Normally I'd give you the whole spiel, but honestly, this is more progress than I had any right to expect, especially not from a couple of half-baked neats who seem to have stumbled their way into divinity. I'm overworked as it is, but finally managing to push Aints back, yes. You're keeping your status as a goddess, contingent on future performance. What about me? Kazuma whined, having literally died for the cause. More than once. Well, I'm not instantly reincarnating you or sending you off to heaven, so count your literal blessings, Smith told him flatly, making Kazuma shut up and sit on his hands. We're done here. We'll be having another talk once you've managed to either die again or driven Nazarick off your world. You can guess which one I'd prefer. Then, with another snap of his fingers, Kazuma and Megumin found themselves standing naked in their room once more. What just happened? Kazuma asked, looking around and blinking. Was that some stupid dream or something? I think he really was from upper management, Megumin said, clutching at herself and shivering. Kazuma, I sensed an overwhelmingly powerful aura from him. Awkwardly, Kazuma stepped forward, wrapping Megumin in his arms to comfort her. Hey, it's all right. Seems like we got away with it, even impressed him. I mean, I guess those maids were really strong or something. But you know what this means. Kazuma leered down at Megumin, and to his delight, she gave him a smug grin. Yes, no reason not to go all the way now. But is the holy sword ready to venture unknown depths? Megumin teased, moving side to side slyly. Oh, I'll be sure to boldly go. It took a little bit of effort, but as it turned out, Excalibur was indeed more than up to the task, to their mutual delights. The next morning, after a bonus round, Kazuma strolled down to the shared dining room, where Izuku and Takayami were sitting at a table together, stupid, satisfied grins on their faces. Kazuma attempted to wipe his own languid smile away, but decided it wasn't worth the effort. Good morning. Kazuma sighed, sitting at the table and sipping at his mug of hot tea. Yeah, Midoriya said, sounding dazed. It's good. Very good. Takayami agreed, his tone more distant than usual. Dark Shadow was on the floor, snoring with an arm covering his face. Kazuma raised his mug to the center of the table in a silent toast, and the other two gently tapped theirs as an agreement. We have become men. Kazuma said seriously, no longer shall anyone call us virgin neats. No one ever called either of us N.E.T. Kazuma. Takayami chuckled. And we didn't spend hundreds of years as virgins, so we've hardly sheed wizard status as you have. I thought Megumin was the wizard and you were an adventurer. Midori asked, looking a bit confused. You know I'm going to let that go just for today. Kazuma sighed, leaning back in his chair. Nothing could go wrong today. Heck, I even feel like I could march right up to the Lord of the Tomb and say, Kazuma! Aqua wailed, rushing into the room. She was still in her pajamas, and her hair was a frazzled mess. She frantically rushed over to Kazuma, who held up his hand, sipping at his tea. Aqua, I'm in a good mood this morning. So whatever disaster you're going to drop on me, it can at least wait until after breakfast. Upper management came. I'm in so much trouble. They found out that I was keeping you in the divine realm against regulations, and they said that I'm going to face serious consequences. Aqua, oh, relax. Smitty, or whatever, wasn't so bad. Why, he paid Megumin and I a visit last night, even said congratulations and stuff. Hell, he even confirmed I'm a god, so things are going to be just fine. Kazuma consoled Aqua, though each word seemed to stab into her instead. You don't understand. He said if we don't defeat the Lord of the Tomb in this world, he's going to. Aqua hiccuped. Oh, the horror, Takayami said dryly. I mean, it could be worse. Izuku managed. Kazuma, on the other hand, started freaking out. What? He can't do that. You're our only prayer against the guy. It's your stupidly OP goddess powers that give us a chance to take down that undead bastard. What's happening now? Uraka groaned, walking into the room and scratching at herself. I heard Aqua making a fuss. I'm going to get kicked out of the Aqua. What kiss? What you? No, I mean, I could just hang out with all of you. Aqua mused. I mean, that's what I really wanted anyway. Sure, we'd die and all, but I know people, they owe me some favors. We could all just get reincarnated and be friends forever. Aqua cheered, seemingly completely over her previous fear. You useless idiot, Kazuma snapped, grabbing Aqua's shoulders and shaking her violently. No one's getting reincarnated if the Lord of the Tomb takes over all the worlds and wipes out all the humans like he's been trying to do. Tears welled up in Aqua's eyes again. It's not my fault. I've been trying to stop him by giving people all sorts of cheat items. But I didn't want to send you all back because if my friends died again, I'd feel terrible, and if he kills me while I'm here like this, I'll be gone forever and I'll never get to see any of you again. That brought Kazuma up short. You mean you couldn't be reborn or anything? No, I'm not just incarnated, I'm fully here. There's nothing back in the divine realm for me. If I die, I'm gone forever, Aqua said mournfully. She sniffed. I mean, it happens to all gods eventually. You lose all your followers, or you just get bored after a few hundred millennia and just go away. I didn't really care before, but ever since I met you and Megumin and Darkness, and now Midoriya and Hatsum, and I guess even Uraka and Takayami, my life's been a lot more fun. So I guess, blink, you really mean. Aqua, that mean. Actually, I have something to Megumin said. Kazuma and I sort of attracted the attention of upper management last night, and we maybe almost lost my own goddess status. Apparently, they don't believe in technical virgins. Takayami blushed, looking over to Darkness, who tried to hide behind her mug of ale. We, sort of got busted last night too. See, this is what happens when you all act like a bunch of horny perverts. Much easier just to stay single, Uraka sighed. I guess I'm the only one who didn't get a night visitor because I actually managed to keep it in my pants. You have, May asked. She hurried over and sat down next to Iz. They're a lot of fun, you know, but I do not think I would want one myself. It would feel funny. Uraka sputtered, going red. I don't look, it's just an expression. So what's the long and short of things? Basically, we have to go defeat the Lord of the Tomb. Smith said something about Aints. Is that his name? Kazuma asked. Aqua, yeah, remember what? Kazuma asked as Megumin planted herself on his lap. It was rather nice, actually, and he put an affectionate hand on her hip. She adjusted it to somewhere more interesting. Man, she was great. We went to school together for like a year or so. Wait, what? Did you know me? I mean, it might have been in Japan. Don't you remember? It was a plot by upper management or something to make us grow as individuals or whatever. We were all there, even Union and Eris and that smug prick Vanier. Aqua explained, not understanding how he wasn't remembering this. What are you talking about? Megumin said, scowling. I went to school with Union, but the rest of you didn't. Are you kidding? We were there forever. We were in Aqua, I don't remember anything like that. Why? Kazuma sat flabbergasted as Aqua went through what sounded like an improbable and impossible time where apparently he and his 3 friends in Union had gone to school with a bunch of people from other worlds. How do I not remember this? Kazuma said, rubbing his forehead and scowling. I don't know, you guys never talked about it, so I didn't either. But I always, Aqua declared. Well, that explains why he's Izuku. These Pleiades, they were looking for Aqua, trying to kill her. Aqua looked. You mean it's perhaps that is why Ain't seeks you in particular, but it is clear he's been conquering other worlds at a rapid pace, Takayami pointed out. He would have found your world eventually. Yeah, and he seems bent on killing all the humans he finds. Personally, I think it's good you stood up to him, Aqua, Uraka said. The only problem is you didn't manage to finish the job. Well, now we can fix that and kill this jerk like we did all the other ones. May proclaimed. You did good though. I don't know why we don't remember this, but it could be really useful, Kazuma said, smiling at Aqua. This time though, I think we'll need your help to beat him. You said he's undead, right? Well, I don't know anyone better at beating the undead than you, Aqua. Plus, this time we've got some help along. 17 there.
Yay! We might go more than 17, but I don't know, because one time it's like fucking, it almost had to so fucking long though in this whole thing. Let's continue.
That should do it. This is easily the cutest baby I have ever made. May laughed happily, adjusting the last strap in Izuku's yet again upgraded armor. Izuku smiled down at her, rolling his shoulders to make sure the suit fit well when he moved. Not as cute as you are. That is very nice of you to say, May said, and gave Izuku's arm a quick hug. He pulled her up into a longer one, though giving May a tight squeeze. We'll do it, May. Defeat the Lord of the Tomb and go home. All of us. Yes, May agreed, sounding subdued. I miss my family. It has been fun sometimes being here, but also scary. I'm glad I got to meet you here, Izuku. Izuku swallowed. There is, also the slight, issue of us being married. Why, May asked, frowning. My dad said having sex was for people who were married, and we did that so he will not be mad. My family will be sad they did not get to come, but they were in a different world, so they could not have come anyway. Well, I mean, we're only 16 and, my mom at least is going to have a fit, Izuku explained, chuckling nervously. Well, you will just have to tell her how amazing I am, and that you were being very responsible, May told him seriously. I will tell my parents the same thing. Besides, you are not sad we got married, are you? No, not at all, Izuku admitted with no hesitation. He swallowed, but forced a bigger smile. Besides, everything will be fine. We've won every battle so far, so we'll just have to win this one too, right? Yes, I made special, extra cute babies just for this. May agreed. Then she sobered again and squeezed Izuku tighter. Just be careful. Megumin says the Lord of the Tomb is very scary and killed her and Kazuma last time. I do not want them or you to die. Of course not. I promise. I won't let anyone die, including myself. Izuku promised, planting a small kiss on her head as she buried her face in the crook of his neck. With the final fittings now done, they stepped out of their room in the manner they'd been staying at for the past few days and headed outside to where the others were waiting. Ready? Uraraka asked, smiling at Izuku. Yeah, he agreed, matching her smile and giving her a thumbs up. Let's do this. Oh, relax, we're at least a week's ride away from the enemy base, Kazuma pointed out from where he was slouching against the wall. We must still be ever vigilant, however, Darkness declared, grunting as she adjusted the saddle girth resting on her enormous warhorse. Her dire message was also somewhat ruined by the obvious excitement on her face. There will surely be strong monsters along the way for us to battle, eager to tear us asunder and crush our very souls. Giant, tough, horrifying monsters. The way is certain to be perilous. Takuyama agreed, shaking his head as he climbed into the saddle of his own black horse. But our duty is clear. We must go now while we still have this chance. Yeah, Izuku nodded, leading his own horse out of its stall and patting his muzzle. I saw boys and his knights die once already. Even if Aqua can bring them back, it's not something I'd want to see again. Yes, May agreed. We're strong enough to fight the bad guys, but I do not want to see anyone else die. I still think we should have let them give us a parade. Aqua whined from her own horse, which was ignoring most of her efforts to direct it. It would have been fun. No, a true Crimson Demon must go to face their foes in the most Megumin declared. Yet let's just hope the horses don't all panic when I float them over the wall. Uraraka sighed. Let's just get the blinders on them, and there is no need for that, my friends. Everyone turned to see Kaiser Frederick and Marquess Blois, along with their attendants, walked out from the darkness. It was a noble attempt to be, Blois chuckled, but you were perhaps a bit too obvious that we would not be seeing you again at the banquet earlier. I believe I was even told goodbye as many as 3 separate times. Hey, look, you can't come, 'cause we get it, you're brave and strong and honest. Kazuma, Darkness hissed. He is the king. Show pride. Yeah, Kazuma, the Kaiser, for his, it is fine. I've grown used to your group's unique sensibilities, shall we say. And while it hurts my pride both as a warrior and Kaiser, you are correct on that judgment. Even with our most powerful relics, we would do little to aid you. It pains me to see you trust us so little that you would think you must sneak away in the night to protect us, Blois added, shaking his head. But then he smiled. I can understand your motivation. Thank Blois hesitated. I'm not sure what I have done for you, Lord Wolfsbane, but you supported a bunch of strangers from another world, even when you weren't sure about us. You always helped us, even when, well, we did some odd things by anyone. Is how I would put up with much stranger for the benefits you gave us. I would tell you to go with the goddess blessing with you, but, well, it seems she too must leave us now. Blois bowed deeply to Aqua, who gave. For a moment she actually looked like a holy figure of worship. Then she reached down from her horse to bless Blois, only to let out a squawk. Izuku caught Blois hiding a smile and wondered just what he really thought. Aqua stood as if nothing happened, smoothing her hair and trying. Izuku carefully, you have my blessing. The gathered nobles bowed. Stupid horses. The guards at the gates don't expect you, the Kaiser told them. Our prayers shall go with you, brave hero. They then rode off through the dark streets of the city, the few people still out pausing as they went past. Some bowed, others cried out in thanks or praise, some clutched holy symbols and spoke prayers to Aqua, or struck ludicrous poses and shouted out thanks to Megumin. Feels kinda nice to be appreciated for once, Kazuma mused before sighing. I'll miss it, that's for sure. Didn't people appreciate you saving your world from the Devil King? Izuku asked, honestly curious. Kazuma blanched. I mean, a few did. But we didn't really last long enough after that to actually enjoy any kind of reward. Honestly, we sort of defeated him mostly in secret, and well, our party didn't exactly have the best reputation. Our closer friends knew, as did Her Royal Highness Iris. Darkness shared, her white teeth flashing in the darkness as they rode out of the city gates, the guards bowing to them as they left. Besides, we all know you would have soon grown bored if you'd simply sat around your mansion all day, Kazuma. Bored. Are you kidding? I would have been thrilled. A neat, finally back in his natural habitat. I tell you what, the first thing I'm doing after we kill this Ames guy is shacking up with Megumin and a couple of gaming PC for a century at least, Kazuma declared with an arm pointed to the sky. Megumin grinned. You should join us. We would have enough for a proper raiding party to take down even the fiercest of bosses. Video games are boring, May declared, shaking her head. Yeah, I don't really play a lot of Izuku. Video games are a waste of time and money. Uraka huffed. Best to find cheaper forms of entertainment, such as reading or going for walks. Friggin' cheapskate, Kazuma complained. He's, behind them. Only Kazuma and darkness. Contrasting it, a sickly-looking dark fog began to radiate from the city as well, and Izuku finally managed to stagger upright. One of the horses ran neighing loudly back towards the gate, only to suddenly fall skidding to a stop, seemingly dead the moment a dark tendril touched it. What is that? Takayama gasped out, gasping as he took steps back to avoid the encroaching fog. Look, May cried, pointing up at the night sky. The stars. A blackness deeper than anything Izuku had ever seen seemed to blot out the stars above Hopset, falling onto the city as well, utterly obscuring it for a moment. Izuku stared wide-eyed, his heart thundering in his chest. What? The darkness suddenly vanished as Aqua raised her hand to the sky. Goddess's light. A bright shining star arose, bathing the area in light. Izuku blinked as his eyes adjusted, still looking back at the city as a sense of supreme dread filled him. Oh no, May whispered. Oh no, oh no, oh no. She pointed, and even from this distance Izuku could see the guards. A strange bleeding. It was enormous, so tall that as it moved forward it shattered the 10-meter-high gate. It was made of utter blackness mixed with dozens of mouths, dark tendrils flailing wildly from random places, scoring long lines through the ground and cobblestone. As it got closer, they could also see it moved on 7 giant, long tongues lolling from it. Explosion? May shrieked in justified fear, pointing at her. The blast that hit the beast staggered it, causing it to sink to its knees for a moment. The opening was not. It was Izuku. Smash! The beast managed to bleat once more before the orifice was completely flattened from the forces it was faced with. With a half-garbled shriek, the mouth and subsequent length of tentacle it was attached to then dissolved to inky blackness that parted away like normal mist. What was that? Izuku panted, landing back beside his group thanks to his same impact. His eyes suddenly widened. Kaguya-mi! Behind! The other boy reacted instantly, spinning around as Dark Shadow shrieked in outrage. He was warned just in time, barely deflecting the blow from the man that had hidden in the shadows. Still, the attack staggered Takayami and made Dark Shadow reel, despite the fact that as it was night, when the quirk was at the height of its power, HMPH, the attacker hummed, stepping back and dusting himself off casually. He was oddly dressed in a formal suit with a silver tie and cravat that meant, "So you were as strong as I thought. To take out a dark young so quickly, it is no wonder you defeated my subordinates." Izuku, May gasped, and he hurried. Tears were streaming down her. The people that, "What?" Izuku asked. "May, in the city?" May gasped, grabbing onto Izuku's arms, her eyes wild. "My goggles, their bodies, they're cooling already. I can see it." "What did you just do?" Aqua roared. "I felt." "Indeed," the man agreed. "And in the other city, just now, Yuri Alpha has summoned more Dark Young using the scroll our master prepared for us. They should deprive you of the majority of your followers on this world." "I'll kill you." "Goddess, wait. This guy, he nearly took out Takayami in one. Well, it appears you will not be goaded so easily." The man, he then, "Well, then I leave." "You're not going anywhere." The man simply tell. He vanished in a glow as Izuku struck. Izuku stood, looking. "He's gone." "'Cause, shit, I couldn't even detect him most of the time with my sense fog." "Where'd he go?" Izuku demanded. "Where? Oh, your rock. There's more." Aqua turned back to sacred exorcism. A blue glow enveloped the entire city, illuminating 5 dark shapes that were rampaging through it. They let out bellows of pain like a hellish corpse. "Take that, you bastards." Aqua grunted before slumping to the ground on her hand. Her fingers dug at the dirt. "I can't, oh God." She vomited onto the. Izuku looked over to Megumin, who was openly weeping in Kazuma's arms, dry retching herself. Slowly, he walked over to the. He hugged her. May wept. Oh, Kazuma went back into the city, looking for it. They all knew he. A half hour later, Kazuma, he was chalk white, the color having he shook his head, slumping. "There's nothing but. They're all dead. Even they." Is this what befell Belzer?" Darkness asked, her eyes sunken and haunted. Aqua shivered, wrapped in a blanket as Uraraka rubbed her back. "No, that spell, it wouldn't have hurt any of us." "Well, it would have hurt us, but not killed us. That spell only kills low-level targets, but anything a little stronger would resist it. Most people in Belzerg, they would have resisted it. They had at least 10 or so levels. That spell wasn't meant to kill us, though. They're going to." Izuku growled. "They're all going to pay." How convenient then we had the same thought. Izuku and the others, the man from before was there, as well as 2 women, one dressed. Behind them, around those 4 stood a frankly massive army of. Megumin has already used much of her devotion. The man, and they must be worn from. With a groan of grinding bolt, "Master Garters. Forward." The woman in the Miko dress or Megan, she raised her staff, her expression. Explosion. Her blast. HMPH. The butler huffed, waving his arm to clear the dust before him. "Impressive. 10th tier." Aqua, Megumin said calmly. "Shield us." Witness the wrath of a goddess scorned. Divine explosion. The second blast utterly consumed the giant golem, first melting the rock it was made of, then reducing it to flinders. The following burst of superheated rock pierced through a wide area of the golden-armored undead, scoring holes through their previously untouched armor at the farthest, while many of those closest to the blast were reduced to ash outright. When the dust cleared, though, the man and 2 women were unaffected. "And now, that's all I have." She groaned. "It's Takayami on me." Darkness shouted, rushing forward with her sword held high. Dark Shadow, Takayami roared. "Slay them!" "Kill!" Dark Shadow shrieked, claws expanding where the light refused to touch. Izuku dashed forward with them, attempting to flank them with his fist raised as he gritted his teeth, mind filled with pure fury. "Fly, my babies!" May cried behind them, launching an explosive barrage from her crossbow that shredded into the ranks of the undead that tried to interpose themselves before their masters. The three foes scattered, forcing them to abandon their pincer maneuver, and Izuku found himself facing the butler. Smash! Izuku roared, channeling as much power to his fist as he could handle. To his shock, however, the man redirected his blow. The man's foot crashed into the crown of Izuku's head, driving him into the ground. Izuku felt above him, and so it ends. Heal! Golden light enveloped Izuku, and his hand shot up, deflecting the rabbit punch from the butler, leaving it to fire off to the side, creating a completely clear circle through a nearby tree. Behind him, Aqua panted, a vicious smile firmly on her face. Get him now, Uraraka. The man looked up, deflecting a blow from Uraraka. He sneered at her, but when he made to attack, he instead floated away, off of the ground. He grimaced, but kicked his leg. Kazuma. Wait. There was another blinding flash, leaving Izuku buffeted by the shockwaves as he fell back to the ground, already searching for who in their group needed help the most. As the butler engulfed, he turned. What is this? The maid gasped. You are not supposed to land a single blow. Omega, we should retreat. They are too strong. This is not right. You are not getting away from me. Darkness snarled, and her sword slashed into the maid's shoulder. Her opponent cried out, then shouted, Kibakushu. The resulting shockwave sent Darkness flying back, but Izuku had already been moving in. Hopstead smash! He roared, his gauntlet connecting with the maid's chest. With a deafening crash, blow, and following explosive blast ripped her clean in half, her torso tumbling away as her legs slid across the field. Izuku finally looked to Miko, who was using shadowy magic to fight Dark Shadow and finally showing a hint of emotion besides disdain. It seemed that for all her attacks caused pain, they also backfired by creating the perfect environment to strengthen the quirk manifestation, who had since grown full wings and multiple roaring heads before it finally grabbed the Miko between two of its talons. Vengeance! Takayami shouted, a maddened anger coursing through him as Dark Shadow ripped the Miko limb from limb with a shriek of triumph. Izuku simply stood there for a moment, barely comprehending the scene, looking down at his own bloodied hands. He forced down the vial in his throat. He wouldn't regret killing this woman. He couldn't, not after what they'd done. Now, and most likely countless times before the less fortunate worlds, did we win? Kazuma asked, looking utterly stunned from his own place on the ground. He kicked away the last of the golden undead he and May had been fighting. There were dozens of undead bones. You're right. This. Everyone turned to gape as the butler staggered to his feet, clutching at his bloodied head. What magic is this? Izuku surged over, aiming I shall report this to my master. You think you have won? You have only faced the first of the legions of the Great Tomb. We shall. Darkness sword emerged from the butler's chest, cutting him off. He coughed wetly, looking down in dull surprise at the blade. You, dark. The corpse fought darkness. Then, even, what do? I can't even. She broke down, tears falling as she sang. Do we get sent back, or there can't be more, can there? I don't know. Aqua admitted. I don't know what to do. Well, then it's a good thing I was paying You, Kazuma Smith, you son of a bitch, Smith. Aqua let out a snarl and stalked forward. She looked up at Smith, her face reflected in his sunglasses, showing her wrinkled dress and red puffy eyes. Then she punched him, right in the jaw. Screw you. You're supposed to be upper management. We're gods. We're supposed to stop stuff like this from happening. Where were you? Why did this have to happen? Smith rubbed his. Well, when you put it like that, I suppose I'll have. He took a step back as Aqua raised her fist, taking out an old-style flip phone. Just a moment. I'll deal with this. Nega, he said, you about how long have you, is it? He flipped his phone shut. Right, rollback will happen in 5. So let's get you. What do you mean rollback, Aqua? How is We'll just reset the world before this all happens, Smith casually explained. Then he raised. Izuku found himself standing in the blue. He's made where you. Calm down, kid, Smith said, appearing from nowhere. I separated you all to make this easier. Right? Congratulations. You saved the whole world. What did Izuku Smith? There, no, not until Izuku. I'm not. Yeah, we're not doing this now. Smith sighed. Izuku charged forward with a. The next thing he knew, he roared. He raised Izuku. He froze. Oh my God, his mother said. The light came on, and his mother said, "It's just a dream." Izuku whispered. You. She glanced at Izuku's clock. Inko said, bustling to. A nice big breakfast. No, Izuku. Oh goddess, no, it can't have been just a dream. That was when
Yeah,
18.
18. This is where that now really mostly ended, more or less. But now, okay, there have been more than after this, but 20 will be basically a new thing, territory for me.
Gods, goddesses, and angels of all stripes hurried out of Aqua's way as she stormed through the corridors of one. Miss, this is the chief's office. Goddess Requiem. Aqua roared and decked the archangel quite literally into next week by way of striding up to the huge double doors that barred the way into the realm of the chief goddess. Aqua took a deep breath. Then she set her jaw, rolled up her non-existent sleeves, and shoved the Aqua. She spun, ready to harangue whoever. Why are you here? Aqua demanded bluntly. Eris shied away at first, but then squared her. They didn't call you here to berate me too, did they? Look, I'm not sorry. We saved Belzerg. I don't care how many rules I broke or Aqua till. You were fighting the Lord of the Tomb, weren't you? Kazuma said something about it. With Union and those kids from that world with quirks. Yes, but listen, Aqua, I know it sounds crazy, but we drove the forces of Nazarick off of Belzerg. It's free now. I had to help. I know we were forbidden from going to the worlds conquered by the enemy, but I didn't have any choice. My quick, so upper management called. Yes, but Aqua, I'm not backing down. Good, come on. I'm going to go give the chief a piece of my mind. Aqua snarled. You what, Eric? Those kids did not deserve what was done to them. We should be rewarding them, not wiping their memories and shoving them back to their act. Oh, yes, I agree with you, Eris said eagerly, hurrying to keep up. Without their help, I never could have managed to free Belzerg at last. So you're with me, Aqua said grimly as they came to the final. Yes, Eris agreed to taking a deep breath. Too many of our followers have suffered for too long. Aqua nodded. Damn straight. She kicked the door open, striding into the room where a large desk sat. She kicked the door open, and it was a placard that read, Chief Goddess Comedy Division. Behind it was the Chief Goddess herself. All right, you listen here, Aqua shouted. The chief then held up the hand, still twirling the pen, and Aqua found every muscle in her body had frozen. She tried to move, tried to speak, tried to even blink, but found she couldn't. Right, thanks for understanding, King Kai. Yes, I know it's unusual, but I'm really in a bind here. I appreciate the help from the Shonen office. Hopefully this is the end of Momonga and his rampage. If Alucard won't reign in his dominion, we'll just have to do it for him. No, I don't think we'll need anyone else. Yes, the BNH cast should be enough. I owe you one. Aha, yes, I know you can do comedy too. Thanks again. Aha, say hi to Bubbles and Gregory for me. The chief hung. Then, right, I suppose you two think this was somehow a good. Aqua sprang to her feet. How dare you? After all we went through, you're reincarnating my friends and wiping the minds of Midoriya, Hatsumi, Uraraka, and Takoyami. That's unfair. Dark, that's right. Eris agreed, coming to stand beside Aqua, her normally calm and polite demeanor gone in favor of her impudent and rude side. You did the same thing to my group. Those kids fought and bled and even died for us. The chief gave Aqua, and because I'm the chief goddess, and I created you, Aqua. As for you, Eris, you're just a jumped-up mortal, and that doesn't change what you— Aqua, no, it doesn't. But those kids screwed up the entire multiverse. I just about had Aints and Nazarick contained when that explosion ripped a hole in all my efforts. Now I've got the chief. So those mortals should really just— This is no way to treat heroes who have saved realms. And as for you too, the chief Aqua, you hid 4 mortals in your apartments for centuries so you could play video games with them. Even for you, that's colossally stupid. And we both— But Aqua tried to— And you, Eris. You manifested yourself directly to help adventurers you sent to a world that was strictly behind the quarantine zone, putting untold war, the chief stated, not to mention risking the death of another. The quarantine was already broken, Eris argued. It was a chance to finally save what few living humans remained in that. The chief made another zipping motion and glared at the two now red-faced goddesses. I've had enough of this pointless conversation. Aqua, you're a lazy screw-up who has caused me headache after headache. The only reason you haven't been demoted to an angel in some random corner of heaven is because you have managed to fix most of your own problems, and I'm not completely ungrateful that you've helped save several worlds, so I'm not going to simply erase you. Aqua tried. She frantically tried. Eris, you're just a junior goddess, a mortal who got lucky. With your senior suspended, and I strongly suspect you helped her, especially with those illegal resurrections I've dug up, your strip. Aqua found herself not because she was going to be immortal now, but because this meant this wasn't fair. She'd done her, even if you'll keep a vestige of your powers, but since most of your followers are dead anyway, I wouldn't expect much, the chief said. She snapped. Asahina, director of time, yeah, get rid of these two. The chief, of course, Asahina agreed. Yes, the chief barked, waving her hand in irritation. Just as Asahina was carting the still-bound Aqua and Eris away, the chief raised a finger. One moment. If the two of you somehow manage not to screw up this life I've given you and actually fulfill your duty as goddesses, you can be reinstated. But one more screw up and I'll reincarnate you both as Aqua. Don't worry. Haru is not as mad as she's acting. Good luck. Waru. Then she tapped back. The chief waited until the door to her office was fully closed, separating it back into its own separate universe before she allowed herself to act normally, throwing the pen away and mussing both hands through her hair. Ah, damn it, damn it, damn IT. Stupid politics. Stupid balances of karma and hidden plots and betrayal of superiors. God, I hate these routes. Where's the romantic hijinks alongside poorly translated comedy? Why is it nothing but drama and fight scenes? I hate working with Shon. Haruhi, Asuhina, get me Ristark and Seiya. We've got some work to do. And get Nagato on the horn. As was often the case with divinity, within the great tomb. 1,000 banners from a myriad worlds hung from the enormous gilded marble. Some represented fallen kingdoms that had bent the knee to Nazarick, submitting to the overwhelming might of the Lord of the Tomb, forswearing all gods in his name. Others were gods or goddesses that had been slaughtered, their followers wiped out to the last. In the case of those who had bent the knee, often they too had been killed, if a bit more slowly. Of course, for those who served the great tomb, death was frequently less than permanent. Undead servitors lined the walls of the tomb, immobile and unfailing in their purpose of guarding their lord, who sat above them on his high seat. Upon the orichalcum throne sat a figure robed in black, his staff humming with great power in his hands. No flesh was there upon the lord of the tomb, long discarded and leaving his body to remain solely a bone bound together and animated by his own supreme power. Ainsulgaum, the lord of the tomb, had many names over the years of his conquest, but that was his most famous epitaph. Once he had been but a mortal man who felt the press of time and the weight of morality upon his heart and mind. No longer. He had been as he was now, an overlord, the greatest of the undead sorcerer kings for time beyond mortal reckoning. At first, he had clung to his human morality and respect for life, but the evils he had committed to secure his place as uncontested ruler of his world had worn that sentimentality away like a stone in a river until it was not but a rapidly fading memory. Before the ruler knelt a man in a pinstriped suit with silver spectacles that hid his eyes. His most notable physical feature was his long silver tail with long spikes at the end, but that was not his greatest weapon, nor were his fangs and claws. No, for Demiurge, his greatest tool was his mind, which was screaming in panic as he genuflected before his master. Reported Demiurge. The Lord of the Tomb commanded, and what his Lord commanded, Demiurge obeyed. He resisted the urge to lick his lips. My lord, the Pleiades are all slain. Seb has led them to their deaths. It seems he betrayed us for the sake of touch me at last. And he took Gargantua down with him. I barely fled Belzerd with my life, and my assets are destroyed. Victim's world is unresponsive and likely gone to us. Cocytus and the lizard men's world seems to have vanished entirely. We must presume them lost. Shaltir is alive again, but will take some time to recover from her resurrection. Albedo as well. The Fjord twins also fled their world and yet live. And the Godslayer has been driven from the field. So we have been driven back on all fronts. For the first time in centuries, the banners of the great tomb are in retreat. His lord mused, "Forgive me, my lord. I reached too far." Demiurge said, "When these perhaps rise, Demiurge, I still require your services on the battlefield. You will never resolve this issue while you kneel in supplication. You have earned a respite for this time, thanks to your previous successes." Feeling an overwhelming sense of relief, Demiurge rose to his feet. "Thank you, my lord. Still, this is troubling," the lord of the tomb said, rubbing his chin. "What of the reports of her?" Demiurge did not need to ask of whom his master spoke. The last report from the Pleiades world was that Aqua was likely there. That was why we sent forth Gargantua, that so-called goddess. Aints hissed. For centuries she has eluded me, refusing to even move beyond the divine realm. And now, there were sudden footsteps, the precise click of boot heels upon stone. Demiurge felt the same sense of dread he felt whenever his back was to the God-Slayer as she walked down the hall. If there was one being in all the multiverse he feared, it was his master, who was cunning beyond all other supreme beings and more powerful than most gods. But if there was one creature he had nightmares of, it was the God-Slayer. "Lord Aints, I have bored. Something new has happened." The Godslayer came to a halt just to the side of Demiurge, her boot heels clicking together in perfect military efficiency as she stood at attention, hands behind her back. Her uniform looked newly pressed, not a single wrinkle upon it. "Field Marshal, we were just discussing you. Demiurge tells me you were forced into retreat." "This is true. The goddess Ristart and her champion took the field against me. I would have beaten them again, but they brought something new to the fight. 4 youths, from a world we have never seen before," the Godslayer replied. Her diction was perfect, just a faint trace of an accent which Demiurge knew for a fact she personally affected. She could speak with completely unaccented Japanese or any other language when she wished. "More of those youths from another world, then. Describe them to me," the Lord of the Tomb ordered. "They possess strange powers." The Godslayer stated, "Not magic, something else. They called them quirks. At first I thought it to be these cheat items that the goddesses give their lambs they send for us to slaughter. But it was not that. I think that event tore open another barrier there from an entirely new set of worlds. Just as Vivir, upon my world, I found out their names." Demiurge added, happy to enlighten his lord even if he wasn't asked. "Ashido, Bakugo, Kirishima, Zero, they worked with the goddess and champions we long thought dead. Yes, there were 42 of them in all." Aints nodded. "This my spies have uncovered. They appeared not long after the event. But I have revealed something else." "Oh," Demiurge asked, suddenly curious. The Godslayer waited impassively, still at attention, waiting upon the words of her master. "Their world of origination," Aints said, holding up a hand. Within it a blue and green sphere appeared, the image of a world. "It is not like these other worlds we have conquered. In my time as a mortal man, I would have called it a comic book world, or perhaps a shonen manga. It matters not. All these youths share one thing in common. They come from UA, the School of Heroes, a school for heroes." Demiurge asked, startled, but the Godslayer was nodding. "So that's here they are from," the Godslayer said, nodding. "Shonen, I should have known. Vel V had your orders. In their world, there are heroes. But where there are heroes, there are also villains. I am sending you both to this world to find those villains. I have sensed the movement of the damnable goddesses. They seek to plunder the strength of this world and turn its heroes against us. But I shall make them rue that day. Find the evil that lurks within that world and make it serve us."
One thing I know about UA World is that the villains don't like to work together at all with anyone. We've seen this multiple times in there. They not only work for all. Yeah, let's see. Big example: Shigaraki and Overhaul. We saw Shigaraki betray Overhaul easily. insane. He did not want to work with him. He did not want to work with the League of Villains at all. You know that part. And let's not forget about another one. Shiizaki overhaul betrayed his leader, the original leader of the Shikai before him. He got hurt, basically got him hospitalized himself into making them there. We see more betrays than anything else. And all for one, God, him. He did not want to work with anyone. You know that. He basically just had him Shigaraki, his project, more or less. Only reason he saved him was just because of how useful he is, or his plans. So far in the anime, that all probably using his body. There's so many damn betrays in that one world. So Eisenhower thinks he can really do anything to that world and make the villains work for him. It's not gonna work. All for one doesn't want power. Most of the villains in that world aren't really that much bad. Choga, the only because of the work a lot of and stuff. Let's see what else can I think about. These are which I was mentioning ideas, yes, but they're really not going that bad. And most Burger villains only work not really together. They're mostly more against fight each other a lot. Battle of the Ape Shawnee, they were not going to work together. They basically worked with the League of Villains because of a common goal, and Shigaraki the fear of the leader. Not much of a respect there. It is not really a good world. You cannot really get villains to work together. You're not gonna really League of Villains. It's basically they're not gonna really have a good chance if I will coding anyone. Villains don't work together, but the heroes do. Even if some of them are corrupted. And I'm acquitted. But that's more arc, but let's continue.
We shall reduce it to ash as we have with so many others. At long last, we shall slay the last of the gods, and only Nazarick will reign supreme in all the multiverse. Yes, my lord, Demiurge said with a bow. Beside him, the Godslayer grinned. It turned her cute, almost innocent features into that of a demon, her blue eyes sparkling as she flicked aside a length of blonde hair. Then this world too shall learn to fear the name of Tanya von de Gurachev. Demiurge shivered. Evil should look as he did, or as Lord Ains. Not like a cute 20-year-old blonde human woman, but those blue eyes were colder than ice, and those delicate hands had slain gods. What was one or two more?
Yeah. There's like a lot more chapters to go through. Let's go to, let's see, that was 1918. Let's go to 19, 1920. I'm just gonna go to 24 because fuck it. If it's longer than 1 hour, I'm maybe not gonna be surprised. Tanu has lost wars. She can't lose what little left is there to her. Damn it. Let's see the warm. Let's do the time warp again. Okay, 19 was missing the chapter. I know. Okay, so far we're at the chapter. I knew we were getting close to where the guy done. Okay, this is the chapter. Okay, this is what let's see. Chapter 20 was basically one so far I have. No, 2021. Okay, we're basically almost there now. I think I'm gonna put the Mule 21 because I kind of really fucked up here. And they're coming to take me away. Okay, we're getting close to the fucking. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're gonna do some damn. Oh, he's doing the fucking flashbacks? No. I think if he got it, I would be with important. I know most of the chapters are short for fuck's sake, though. But enough, long enough, though.
The train whistle pierced the air, loud and clear over the muttering and shuffling of the crowd. Despite her lack of uniform, old habits ruled, and
Yes,
Tanya
real
found herself
glasses.
saluting. "Farewell, one stone, Lieutenant Serebriakov," Tanya said, a smile playing on her lips. "I'm glad we made it through together." "Thank you, Colonel de Gurjev." Visha responded, saluting seriously as well. Then she ruined it by smiling and jerking forward to wrap Tanya in a warm embrace. "I'll miss you. I know it's crazy, but we've been through so much and spent so much time together, ma'am. First, well, I'm glad you survived. I wish we could stay together, but if Thonton or any of the other players find me before I arrive in the U.S., I'll be tried for war crimes and executed." Tana finished stiffly, awkwardly patting Visha on the back. This emotional outburst was most unprofessional of her. "Perhaps one day you can visit me in the U.S. I'm told it's nice there." Personally, Tanya was thrilled to be able to go and live in the Unified States. In her old world, they had been a great and peaceful country. True, when the world exploded again in 20 years, they would become one of the main combatants, but it was better than remaining on this powder keg of a continent. She'd just have to make sure to get Visha to join her before it went off. It shouldn't be hard to convince her new superiors that Visha was a valuable asset. "Let's get going," one of her minders said, his German faintly accented. Tanya wasn't going to argue, and she and Visha separated. Was the other girl crying? Really, what was the point? Even if Tanya felt a strange pain in her chest. Shame, she always seemed to feel something like this in odd moments, like when she'd had to bury her own soldier. But this wasn't like that. "Without you, I wouldn't have made it through, Colonel." Visha softly spoke, wiping away a tear and smiling. "Thank you, and God bless you." "I doubt that," Tanya snorted, making a face. "He and I don't seem to get along very well. Besides, now that I don't need him to fight, what would be the point? He's just another pompous old man." Just as Tanya began to turn away, a familiar sensation ran over her body as sound ceased and the world ground to a halt. Letting out a heavy sigh, Tanya looked around. "I know you're there. Look, I beat Mary Sue. If you're going to pitch another fit, I still won't bow down and worship you. I don't know what to tell you. You're hardly worthy of my respect and worship, even if you are a god. You survived." The deep, reverberating voice thundered. Tanya didn't wince. She was used to these little tantrums by now. "And yet you refused to give obeisance despite surviving only through my power and mercy." Oh, please. You tried to kill me at every turn. Sure, I tapped into your power now and then, but I doubt that was by your own designs. You're nothing but a big, malevolent. Tanda laughed, looking around absently. Go bother V. I think Visha's Visha's. I shall need a new champion now, foolish atheist. Your friend should do nicely, no. Perhaps she shall be the perfect tool to stir up division once more. No, Tanya, no. She is my creation first and foremost, however, just like the rest of these pitiful creatures. Being X chuckled, and you won't even kill her like Mary Sue. Such a strong shield, a loved one's body. Why, to make it even sweeter, I'm certain I could even use this body to— You bastard! Tanya snarled again and left. Bisha dodged her eyes. God is great and worthy of praise. You should have learned that lesson already, atheist. Now I shall spend my life— No, Tanya wailed, stumbling to— She suddenly— You win. You win. I was wrong. I'll work. It's too late, Tanya the evil. Tanya looked up in horror. It wasn't Visha's. It could never be Visha's smile. Even when Tanya did not notice this cruel, like Mary Sue's, you're cast out into outer darkness. Perhaps you shall live a long life. Perhaps this train shall crash, and you and everyone aboard shall perish. Or maybe your ship shall sink. It matters not. When you die, you are mine as with everything else. And then you shall end again, and again, until it amuses me no longer. But for as long as you live, know that the one person you called friend is now your greatest enemy for Visha Cerebri. And then, being X turned away, Tana stood, but her minders grabbed her. She didn't fight it. How could— Despite the long year, what was the point? And she'd watched her troops die one by one. Watched them all picked up. She'd tried to stay alive, to follow orders, but Visha had been the only one left. And now Tanya was brought to a private train compartment by her two minders. She slumped in her too large seat, her legs dangling above the— She could nearly reach now, but even at 15 she wasn't very— She felt small and helpless, listless and defeated. They were gone, dead, and sooner or later, feeling— Tanda looked up, startled by the smooth, silky voice from nowhere. She found herself looking at her own reflection in the red tin. Oh, don't worry, they won't bother us. They're just napping. For now. The man chuckled, leaning back and spreading his arms out over the back of his seat as he crossed one leg over the other. He grinned, and the sight made Tanya flinch. His teeth were pointed to razor-sharp fangs. Who are you? Tanya hissed, reaching for her minder's jacket. This thing was dressed all in red, with a hit of a white— Oh, I think you know, or at least have some ideas. The man chuckled. He reached into his jacket, pulling out a pack of cigarettes and— Smoke? No, it's an unsightly habit. I would prefer it if you didn't in my company, Tanya said crisply. Very well. I suppose I can wait. He tucked the cigarettes away again. So your friend is gone. Taken by the very God who was supposed to protect her. How do you know that? Tanya demanded. But she knew. There was only one person. I keep tabs on what my opposites are up to. The devil chuckled. But, to make things clear, my card. He snapped a white-gloved hand, and a business card appeared with scarlet lettering. He handed it over to Tanya, who studied it carefully. Al card, your friend in low places. Head of her division. Cute, Tana said flatly. She kept the card in her hand, looking up and studying this Al card. All right. I'm no stranger to Faustian bargains. I suppose my soul isn't worth much right now, since I'm doomed already no matter what I do. Being X has made that very clear. So what do I have to do? Sign something. Whatever it is, I'll do it. Just as long as you say Visha. Oh, no, I'm afraid I can't do that. You see, I'm forbidden from interfering directly. I can just give things a nudge here and there. Then what use are you? Tanya snapped. I can't free Visha. Being X is too powerful. The only way I know to drive him out is to kill the host, and even that won't stop him for long. He'll just come back, possessing a new victim. But what's the point? He is Visha. You're right. In this world, Being X's power is near absolute. But you already know how to defeat him. Or rather, you know someone who can. Even if it's not me, Alucard said, leaning forward and folding his face. All— What are you blabbering? Tanya demanded. If you can do something. Alucard reached out one finger to her forehead. Memories flooded into Tanya, causing another, not this, somewhere, another goddess, a blue-haired moron that spread chaos and destruction in her wake, worse in some ways even than being 10th and her friend. If one could call an undead overlord a friend, ain't's Ulgaunai. What? Tanya gasped, blinking back tears as the memories flitted through her head, her temples throbbing. A little experiment between the gods. They used you and yours like puppets. Just like being 10, you remember now. Alucard prompted. Slowly, Tanya raised her head. I do. But there's where I come in. There's also one other thing I can do for you, Ms. de Gurchev. Alucard reached into his jacket and pulled out a rolled parchment sealed with red wax. He smiled. A spell. You already have the mana to cast it. The call. Yes, Tanya said. She broke the seal. Human sacrifice. But when she looked up, Alucard was gone with. Sorry, boys. Looks, they didn't get a chance to make much of a. Tanya was experienced in quiet kills after all. She had just enough space to draw the spell circle. It was messy, and by the end of it she was covered in more blood than she actually it had to. She muttered, I call thee forth from beyond space, beyond time. For a moment had she been tricked again. But then, a figure in dark robe, who dares, ain't, do you remember me? Tanya, yes, I do remember you. How did you, are you with, I don't recognize, licking her lips. Tanya, I need your help. Visha, she's been taken by being 10th. He's a god, I think. Someone named Alucard gave me this spell, told me you could help me. The king in red, I take it. Never mind. A god, you say? Not Aqua. No, not her. I don't know where she is, the useless fool. Being X is far more dangerous. He's possessed Visha. I don't know how to get her free. I see. Well, perhaps I can help you with that. I have something of a vendetta against the gods myself. They threaten my rule. One of them invaded my realm, attempting to slay me and my subjects. In turn, I'm currently in. She's not here, however. What about what's his name? Did Aqua fit? I see. Tanya considered this, then Kazuma and his ilk might not have deserved death, but that wasn't important, right? She had. Can you free? Mayhaps. I shall send an envoy to you. Do you Yes, of course. I remember most of that time we were together. Not everything. Fragments. But I remember you and your servants. Demirj was smart and effective. I'd appreciate any help he can give me. Very well. It may take some time. Keep the spell active until he arrives. Tanya gritted her teeth. That's going to be hard. This train ride is only a few hours long, and I took time getting the circle right. The bodies here will start to stink too as well. They'll try and open the compartment. I see. Do what you can then. If you have to move, open another link as soon as possible. Aince's presence faded from Tanya's mind, and she breathed out a sigh. She hadn't gone insane. At least the deaths of her comrades and these nameless guards hadn't been in vain. True, the U.S. had been her enemy, supplying the Republic and the Federation against the Empire, but she still hated pointless death, her own most of all. Soon, though she had no time for stray thoughts, the situation becoming uncomfortable. She had to continually feed the spell mana, and her legs were growing cramped as she was forced to remain in a squatting position to keep the spell active, to say nothing of the blood annoyingly dripping on her ankles. Then the pounding on the door came. What's going on here? We haven't received your check-in verifications. Hey, wait, is that blood leaking into the hall? Oh, sorry, I cut myself a bit on the frame. Tanya said, It's okay, we bandaged it up, I'm fine. What the damnation? Tanya didn't There was more soon something. Then they got an. She gasped. My Tanya, she'd have to cancel the spell. She would fight her way. Suddenly, the spell grew in power, and Tanya slumped. Out of the circle, a bubble of darkness formed, growing and swelling until it. Though this, a new word. Demiurge said, friends, get them. A railway officer shouted, lowering a pistol and opening fire. The bullet, all for nothing. Expect the Demiurge only frowned, glancing down at the hole in his cravat. I like this suit. Do you have any idea how expensive dragon moth silk is? What are you? The officer gasped. He readied the pistol. Demirge's tail darted out in an instant, skewering him through the chest in a spray. One Tana could only slump in the pool of blood, exhausted of her mana as the screams sounded from outside. Sorry about the wait, Demirge said a few minutes later, adjusting his glasses as he stepped back into the compartment. There were quite need to say Visha. Tanya slurred. I see. Well then. It seems this entire Demirge easily picked Tanya up in his arms, then ripped a hole in the side of it. With a giant leap, the two were soaring into the sky. A moment later, there was a deafening explosion below them as the engine and accompanying cars exploded in a massive ball of flame. Mechanical devices are always so fascinating. They don't run on magic at all. That is interesting tactical applications. Demirge mused as they traveled away from the newly formed crater. He looked around. There, the forest looks like a good place to hunker down for a bit. Tanya could only watch as they. Demirge used it all to summon you. Tanya whispered. Need to sleep. I'm afraid we don't have time for that at the moment. Here I always keep a few mana potions on me, just in case. Demirge took out a shimmering azure vial from his waistcoat pocket, uncorked it, and gently held it to Tanya's lips. She sucked it down greedily, and then gasped as mana and vitality surged through her veins. Thank you, she gasped out. She managed to stay on her feet, groaning slightly as she left his arms. Demirge, it's good to see you again. Again, yes. That school Lord Ains has mentioned. I take it you were there as well, in addition to the others. Demirge asked, his tail swishing back and forth in agitation. Yes, I hear you paid a visit to Kazuma and his goddess-loving brood of idiots. Tana spoke with an indifferent expression. From what she recalled, Kazuma was a vile lecher, and his companions were just as bad in their own ways. Megumin had been a lunatic bent on nothing but chaos and destruction that would surely end in killing everyone around her, including herself. Darkness, a perverse masochist with no self-control who brought danger to those around her to satisfy her own urges. Yunyan was a foolish and dangerous mage who'd do horrific things if it meant being praised, and Chris a thief who plundered from everyone and expected to be loved for it. And Aqua she'd tried to murder Ains for no other reason than his race. Truly despicable, and she'd brought endless trials to Tanya. She couldn't recall them all, but she knew she had wanted nothing to do with Aqua or even to kill her. Her memories on that particular matter were muddled a fair bit. While Tana hadn't actually sought to slay those idiots, if Ains wanted them dead, well, that was his affair. They're dead, but Aqua is still a threat. We're in the process of pacifying Belzerg and the surrounding kingdoms at the moment with expected results. I was actually in the middle of hunting down the last of their royal line before I was summoned by my lord, but that can wait for later. One pathetic slip of a princess won't be much of a threat, but we're here to talk about you. Tell me, what is it you wanted me to help with? Something about your friend, this Visha. She's been possessed by a god. Being X is what I call him. He's the one who, well, that's not important. He's hated me since before I was born, it seems. Tried time and again to kill me, to make me bow down and worship him. I refused. I defeated every one of his champions. A god, you say? Demirge adjusted his glasses. Well, I'm something of an expert on killing them. It's not easy, though, you know. Even if everyone here is fairly weak, those empowered by a god can hurt me quite badly. We'll have to make this fast, then. Where do you believe Visha could be? I don't know. Maybe at her flat. It hasn't even been a day since she was taken, and it shouldn't, Tana said, her hand. Not a problem. You're strong for a human. I think I can teach you the flight spell. Demirge waved off the concern. He pressed a finger to Tanya's forehead. Once more. This time, she felt it was alien, but she could use it. She had to. Flight? Tanya barked and rose into the air. She grinned. Well, this changes many things. Let's go hunting. She drew one of her pistols, flicking the cylinder to a chambered round. It was a U.S. Army revolver similar to the Colt revolver. This one was a dot. It wasn't. She was right where Tanya expected. What do we do now then? Tanya asked. Demirge had done something to hide his tail and looked like a normal businessman at the moment. For herself, Tanya had scrubbed the blood from her face and hands and stole. It annoyed her being so sly. I don't think I can break that possession. But her soul is. He glanced. There's one. If Demirj gave, we kill her. That is 10. We have. She won't stay dead, of course. We'll simply take her back to Nazareth. My master can raise her easily enough. He also seems to be fond of you as if he owed you a favor. I don't know why someone like Lord Ains considers himself indebted to a pathetic human such as yourself, but I trust in his wisdom. He can't return Visha to life. Tanya asked, feeling sick and hopeful at the same time. Demirj nodded, easily. Tana took a deep breath and closed her. If you're, that would be difficult. Anything can die if you hate it hard enough and don't have anything holding you back. She fell atop the altar she'd been floating over, blood leaking from her mouth as people screamed, "Out of my way." Tana spoke as she walked towards the fallen form of her. She's now what? The Demirj snapped his finger. When she could see again, she was in a large, dimly lit chamber. She looked around and spied Demirj standing beside a throne of bone, upon which sat the form of Ains Ulgaun, the lord of the tomb. "Well," Tanya demanded, standing, her pistol in her hand, "can you bring her back?" Slowly Ains stood, taking up the staff that had stood beside him. "I can," she would be returned to life. "But a spell of true resurrection is called." "What?" Tanya demanded. Slowly, Ains moved forward, his staff clicking on the black stone of the throne room as Demirj stalked silently at his side. Tanya forced herself to look up at him when he reached her, nearly fully a meter taller than she was. Her grip on her pistol tightened. She had to save Visha. Oh God, she had killed Visha. Twice to raise someone in truth requires the blood of a god. I have some on me as it happens. I was planning on saving it, but you could pay me back as it were. Tell me, would you? Tana blinked for a moment, then threw her head back and laughed. I would have even if we didn't need their blood. Ains said, extending a bony hand to her. It was encrusted with jeweled rings, each thrumming with eldritch power. There was no hesitation. Tanya bent and kissed a ring. She wasn't a leader, not really. She needed orders, someone to follow, someone to direct her at an enemy. If Ains would bring back Visha, well, he'd never helped kill any of her soldiers like the Unified States had. I, Tanya von de Gurchaf, do swear myself to the service of Ains Ulgaun, overlord of the great tomb of Nazareth. I will be your guider and bring you the blood of the being X's payment for saving my something. It is done. Then, true, behind Tanya there was a gasp. She spun. Where? She blinked. Colonel Tanya, it's all right. Visha blinked, then, slowly, returned Tanya's hug. Colonel, I don't mean to. Tanya straightened, falling back into a stance. This is our new commander, Ains Ulgaun. Beside him is Demirj, one of his command staff. I've accepted the position of Field Marshal of his forces. I would like to bring you on as my General Staff Officer, Visha. First. See. For too long, they've oppressed and enslaved the mortal races, just as they did you. They manipulate and bend mortals to their will, causing naught but suffering while expecting back joy and subservience for the honor of being in their presences. The war back home. It was caused by being X, the same so-called deity that possessed you. Tanya snarled, her arms reaching out and clutching Visha reflexively. He's tried to kill me again and again, or to force me to bow down and worship him. I refused. So he took you, Visha. That was too much. I remember, Visha said, her eyes going wide. She sank back to her knees, clutching at her head. Oh, Pizdets, I remember. First. I couldn't control myself. It was like I was trapped within my own body, my own mind. I couldn't, and then. She looked up, tears streaming. It was like the bullet that had. She looked away. First. I could not think of another way. Ains could resurrect you, free of being X's taint, but don't be. Tanya looked up again just in time to be wrapped in another hug by Visha. This was most distressing. Tanya hadn't had this much physical contact since she couldn't remember. She didn't think her own parents in Japan had hugged her this much. You saved me, Tanya. Thank you. First. I owe you a debt I cannot repay. Visha stepped back, smiling, and Tanya coughed into her hand. Well, yes, it was my duty to ensure the safety of my subordinates. Besides, I couldn't let being X win. Not even once. If you say so, ma'am. But if you're gonna kill being X, count me in. I'll follow you anywhere, Tanya. Even into hell, it seems. We've been through hell before. What else was the Western Front? Tanya said, feeling the old familiar feeling of rage. She spun on her heel, looking back up at Ains. So how does one go about killing a god? First, you must deprive them of followers. Ains replied, we're nearly done here in Belzer. What few humans are left are of no threat now, and will provide Aqua with little devotion. I'll send you back to your world, but this time with an army. Your mission will be simple: wipe out being X's followers, lure the god into the open. Then I shall show you how to trap and slay a deity. Tanya nodded slowly. All of their followers. Bisha gasped, coming to stand at Tanya's side. But that's most everyone in the world. Then they shall have to die, Demir said, pushing up his glasses with his index finger. He gave a needle-toothed grin to Visha. Do you have a problem with that? Visha looked at Tanya, just as she always did. They're nothing but slaves by this point. We'll set them free, even if it means their deaths, Tanya declared. This is war. Sometimes innocents get caught in the crossfire. We'll give them a chance to abandon their faith, as the articles of war dictate. If they refuse, they're enemy combatants and must be killed, just like Aaron. Visha agreed, looking faintly ill. But she straightened and nodded, then saluted. Very well, I'm your woman, ma'am. I'll do what needs to be done. Visha was a good soldier, the very best. She'd grown in the past 4 years. Tanya smiled at her friend. Yes, her friend. How odd. She'd never really had a friend before. But what else would you call someone you were willing to burn a world to the ground for? 21 and Co gasped, starting away from the sudden noise. What on earth? Mama, stay back. Izuku growled, pushing his mother behind him as the frantic pounding on the door continued. It wasn't even 5 a.m. yet, especially not with the memories floating around in Izuku's head. He could hear Izuku ignored that. He could handle whatever it was far more easily than the police could. He let one for all fill him, feeling the energy pulse in his tense muscles as his hand darted out and flung open the door. Instead of the villains or monsters he'd half expected, Izuku found 2 pink-haired. Look, the older one gasped, trying to wrestle. I don't know what's gotten into my sister, she. Izuku, I'm real. It's okay. It really. Izuku breathed out, feeling the adrenaline. After what felt like an eternity of contact, he lovingly raised his hand to Mei's cheek. Then he kissed her. They had to break apart quickly, however, from the twin squawks of outrage around them, as they'd forgotten about their guardians. Izuku, what on earth are you? All right, hold up. What the hell is happening? May I swear to God if this is some sort of prank. Shut the hell up. It's 4 o'clock in the damn morning. A voice drowned out both his mother and presumably Mei's sister's indignation, coming from the apartment across from them. Izuku winced, but Mei was quick to spin around and yell right back, You be quiet. We are doing something very important. I don't care. Shut up or I'm calling the damn cops. Or maybe we should go inside, Izuku said. After carefully taking his hands away from her sides, he even managed a quick bow to her apparent older sister. Hello. You must be Hari Handsome. Please come inside. Yeah, okay. Hari sighed. Jesus. What the hell, Mei? This is weird even for you. Izuku stepped back inside, arm in arm with Mei, where his mother was still staring at him, her mouth hanging open. He, um, I'm his wife. We got married. I'm sorry we did not invite you, Mei said proudly. Behind Izuku, Mei's sister suddenly let out a stream of unrepeatable but highly creative expletives. For her part, Inko groaned, then fainted dead away. Izuku managed to catch her, then quickly carried her over to the couch. All right. I'm going to need a cup of coffee, then an explanation. Mei's sister ground out, glaring at Izuku and Mei. Because I want to know how the hell my little sister, who has, as far as I know, never expressed the slightest interest in any boys that weren't robots, wakes up in the middle of the damn night and runs off to find some strange boy I've never seen before and claims she married him. Coffee would be good. May agreed tiredly, looking like her adrenaline was finally wearing off. I'm still sleepy. We did not get much sleep last night. But look, I still have my baby. Izuku realized that May had her crossbow strapped to her back, which she happily held up for Izuku to see. That's weird, Izuku said, frowning and thinking about how that was physically possible. Watch my mom for a moment, please. I'll make. Izuku quickly found some instant coffee in the cupboard, then put on a kettle of water. By the time his mother groaned and her eyes fluttered back open, he was able to press a hot cup into her hands, feeling more awkward than ever as he languished under Hari's intense stare. All right. Hari started, sipping at her cup before making a face, though it was hard. May started explaining. May looked uncertainly at Izuku. She does not. Yeah, because what you were saying was pure freaking nonsense, not to mention utterly insane. Another world, monsters, a goddess, an explosion cult. May you have. I told you he is Izuku. May snapped. You were not listening. That would not work. Hari knows I do not use the internet very much except to buy more materials for my babies, May said, mercilessly shooting down that idea. May, I just heard you and this boy say you were lying and making that story up. Hari, you can either believe we met at the beach looking for salvage, or that we met when I was running away from the undead with my wizard friend Megumin and Izuku came. Yeah, okay. Two met at the beach then. Hari grumbled and opened her. This make any sense to you? I don't think so. All he really does is study and work out. Inko admitted. What if I told you I met May while I was looking for Yes, but Hari thinks I have not started school yet, and I checked the calendar. May pointed. That would make sense, as I think I accidentally created a small black hole, which would. We really did go back 3 months then. Izuku, this, Izuku, are you talking about time? Inko, is, yeah. Hari, would you believe I accidentally made a super cute baby that made a hole in the space-time continuum and flung Izuku and I back in time? May suddenly asked. Hari blinked slowly. Actually, that's the first thing you said that I would sort of buy. Do you have some sort of time travel quirk? Inko asked May. Oh no, my quirk just makes May proud. This one I will have to make with more advanced materials. My resources were limited when I made. We got. We knew each. May eyed Izuku sideways, but when he motioned, yes, we were 20s, which is how old adult. This is completely nuts. Hari groaned. Mom and Dad are gonna freaking kill me. Jesus. How am I going to explain this to them, May? You were just supposed to stay with me while you went to school at UA. It was supposed to be fun. You could even help me in the shop when you weren't at school. My boss was totally stoked when he heard how good of a mechanic my baby sister is. Right, May said she's from Kyoto, but you got a job here in Mufasu as a mechanic, and she was living with you to go to UA. Izuku went along with the. We are. Yes, we went to school together, and I made. May boasted before Suku. Tears filled his own eyes. It's okay. And I'm sure Aqua Megumin. Will they remember us? May whispered. He drew it out of his pocket and found. Hey, this is going to. Izuku. He grinned widely. It's from Uraraka's number. May said quickly. Izuku quickly typed out a reply letting Uraraka know May was with him and that they both remembered. While Izuku and May were talking and Ko and Hari had their own whispered conversation, Izuku looked up to see his mother looking worried, but obviously forcing herself to smile. Izuku, I don't know what's happened, but, well, I'm, glad you found a. May, I'm also happy you have a boyfriend. Hari agreed, before raising a fist threateningly. But so help me God, I am going to kill you if you start calling yourself May Midoriya and telling everyone you're married. Well, I'm not going to stop having sex with Izuku, May said bluntly. We were married by 2 goddesses, so it counts. Hari put her head in her hands, clearly struggling not to scream, while Izuku, we're being safe, Mom. We know we're not ready to have kids. Izuku reassured her with a deep blush on his face, wishing desperately. Yes, Izuku always says the goddess Eris pats her chest. May stated as if it explained everything, which it did, just not to the two who wanted actual answers. Is how does that? Izuku felt increasingly familiar since I'm not going to ask. Hari sighed. Look, you're a bit young, but, well, I'd be lying if I said I didn't fool around behind mom and dad's back in high school, too. I'm still putting you on the damn pill. Just don't wind up like me and your father, Izuku. Inko managed to say, wringing her hands. We thought having a child would fix our relationship, but don't worry, Mom. I know it sounds crazy, but May and I have been through a lot together. Izuku chuckled, not wanting to go down that path. He then stood up, sighing. All right, it's already morning now. Who wants breakfast? Yeah, no, we're going out to eat. This coffee tastes like ass. Shit, I'm going to have to call into work today. I think you and I have some talking to do, Mrs. Midoriya. Sometime later, after a good deal more embarrassing and probing questions, Hari drew, you two behave yourselves. She ordered, I don't know what the hell happened yet, but, well, Hero Court, May said. Is, what? No, you're not, Hari ordered. Look, I've gotta go. And then she drove off, leaving Izuku and May standing. May took off her back, Class 1. This does not make sense. Izuku, you remember I was in 1 hour. May exclaimed, holding up the paper to him. Yeah, that's really weird. Didn't you take the support course entrance exam? Izuku agreed, pondering where this change came from. May shook her head. No, I got a recommendation because, wow, that makes sense. I guess you are the most brilliant girl I've ever, Izuku admitted. He suddenly, Kaken, Hugo looked, oh hey, Deck, Izuku, he'd have to start. Listen, Kaken, I'm sorry for, Hugo looked at Izuku. Yeah, okay. On one condition. You quit calling me fucking Kaken. You can call me Katsuki, I don't give a damn. But we're not 5 anymore. Well, you don't call Izuku Mason. He is the who the fuck are you, Goggles? Izuku gritted his teeth to bite down, an uncharacteristic instinct to shove back Hugo's teeth down his throat. Catch up. What since when the hell do you? Hugo's eyes narrowed. Wait, you're the one, aren't you? From right. Okay. Hugo breathed. Listen, we've got to talk later, nerd. Damn it. There's some shit we need to do. Izuku is not a virgin neat. May snapped. He is my boyfriend. That seemed to startle Hugo off his train of thought. Wait, what? Shit, I don't even look. We'll talk later. I've got. With that, Hugo walked off. As he did so, Izuku, for ever for another, whereat Hugo got an enormous two-hand. Granted, it looked something weird is going on. Izuku muttered as he shook his head. Come on. Let's go figure out what's going on with your class schedule. As it turned out, May really was in class 1 now, which both of them found baffling for different reasons. Yes, you're in the hero course, dear, I'm quite certain, the secretary said, annoyed at the resistance towards such a coveted position. Now, please, there are still lots of students with questions about their schedules. Take a map and hurry along. Class starts in a few minutes. This left Izuku and May walking away, sharing confused looks. Well, I mean, at least we get to be in class together. Izuku said, yes, that will not be so bad. All of the kids in 1 hour were dumb and boring. May agreed. She smiled widely. I will have 3 friends at school now. I have never had. You never had friends before? Izuku asked, feeling a pang in his chest. May shrugged. People think I am weird and I had bad social skills, and I was in special education, and I only cared about my babies before anyway. Now, things are different. Really, you were in special ed too? Izuku asked, surprised. May, really, that's cool. I was, quirkless. They put me in special education too for counseling sense that, Izuku admitted. Oh, right, because May looked all might. Right, yeah, that's a C. Izuku agreed with a one. As they approached class 1, Izuku could already hear a commotion. Izuku and May, she had a student. Damn it, put me down. I refuse. You can't make me. I'm going back to being the boy. I am going to be a need too. The girl wailed as she struggled to we will sit in our apartment all day and do nothing but play Wait, Izuku. May. Darkness. Kazuma and Megumin ceased their struggles, looking up in surprise. May, Darkness said in nodding. After a closer look, Izuku could tell it was her, but she looked different, younger somehow. She suddenly dropped her burdens, who landed with a loud thud and muffled groans. Perhaps you can talk some sense into these two. Hyde May said, grinning widely and kneeling in front of Megumin. Are you coming to school here now too? I thought you were gone forever. I am very happy to see. Megumin sat up, sniffing and wiping at her eyes, the same deep crimson as ever. What? No, this is UA, my school. I am in class 1 and now. Why are you here, Megumin? May asked. Izuku hurried forward, a huge smile on his face. You guys? I don't believe it. It is you. I thought we'd never see any of you again. Kazuma stood casually, dusting himself off. Yeah, well, sorry to disappoint you, Midoriya. See, I told you that it was a good idea to come to school. It is our duty to do well and once more become heroes. Darkness crossed her arms triumphantly. Then she stepped forward and drew May into a tight hug. I'm glad to see you again. I thought, but if you were here, Takoyami should be coming soon, Izuku told her. He looked behind Darkness and smiled wider when he spotted Aqua, Aqua looked up, revealing her eyes to be red and puffy, her cheeks stained with tears, but she forced herself to smile. Hi, Izuku. No, this is where I belong now, I guess. I'm just like you, an ordinary mortal human. Wait, what? Izuku gasped. He looked around, but people in the halls were still staring at them and the show they were putting on. Crap here, let me see if anyone else is inside. Thankfully, it was still 10. Izuku even checked behind Mr. Ozawa's desk to be sure, but he motioned the others inside. What happened? Izuku, all I remember is Smith saying he'd do a rollback, and then I was suddenly at home in my bed, but it's 3 months before the sports festival and the first day of school. Same thing happened to us. Kazuma said, sighing and helping Megumin up, then taking a seat at a desk himself. He glanced at Aqua, who was staring listlessly at the wall, her head laid down on her desk. But, well, we got our status as goddesses revoked, Megumin explained, fidgeting nervously. I'm just a regular crimson demon now. I'm a human too, Aqua mumbled, lifting her head and sniffing. She rubbed at her eyes with her hands, then smiled But I'm here with. Hey, it's okay, Kazuma said gently. He reached over. We're in this. Yes, specifically, we are in school together, and I shall not allow the two of you to retreat into Enneithood, Darkness warned. You'll come to class every day. Well, you can make me come, but you can't, Kazuma. I've said, are you dumb? May asked Kazuma. Did you? Kazuma froze, and he looked away. When he spoke, his voice was rough. No, I haven't. Maybe that's why I just want to hide in my room. It's, May, you saved me, and you blew up that butler. That counts for something, right? There's still villains here, but thanks to All Might, this world is safe, or at least much safer than the last one, Izuku said with a smile. Don't worry, this can be fun. Everyone here is really nice. So, of course, that was when the door opened. He paused. Okay, what the fuck? Katsuki, Izuku said, spinning. These are our new classmates. The fuck they are, Bakugo said, his eyes narrowed as he looked around the room. Who the hell are these? Izuku's jaw clenched. Katsuki. Yeah, no, Bakugo said, someone better start. Izuku let one for all fill him, the energy suddenly radiating from his body. Won't let me. Shit, this all makes sense. Bakugo. Well, I've dealt with shit like this before. Halt to darkness. I know not who you. Yeah, you mess with him. You mess with Kazuma. Meg. Let me. That's my line. Bakugo. All right, Bakugo. What's going on? A girl. Don't worry. Bakugo just about jumped out of his Union Kazuma. Megumin. Wait, is the new girl. Bakugo. Wait, you know these jerk-offs. And what the fuck are you doing here, Union? I thought shit, what's going on? I sort of got banished here, Union admitted. They realized I'd been staying in the Divine Realm and kicked me out. I thought I was getting sent back to Belzerd, but, well, we sort of woke up here. We, Kazuma demanded. Who the fuck is we? Two more strange girls entered the room, one a petite blonde with an even bigger sword than Darkness, the other a silver-haired girl with a boyish figure carrying twin daggers and a reverse grip. Eris, Aqua gasped. You got banished here too. Okay, we need to figure out just what the hell is going on. Kazuma groaned, scratching his head. I don't. Big brother. The blonde squealed, her sword vanishing as she jumped over and tackled Kazuma in a hug. I never thought I'd see you again. Wait, who even are you? Kazuma gasped, looking up in befuddlement at the grinning teen girl from flat on his back. Don't you remember me? It's me, the girl. I thought you were all dead. I thought I was dead. We were fucking dead. Bakugo grumbled, lowering his axe. I want to know what the frick happened after you and me bought the farm, Iris. Megumin hissed, her crimson eyes glowing. You have 1 second to get off of my boyfriend before I unleash my dark powers upon you. Oh, relax, Megumin, Iris said, climbing off of Kazuma. You two are really dating, though. I'm disappointed, Kazuma. I told you I'd marry the hero who defeated the Devil King. Though I suppose now Big Bro has some competition. Just when Izuku thought things couldn't get any crazier, the rest of Class 1 showed up right as the first. This time, then came Cyril, Ishido, and Kirsch. Right, you two are going to have to knock that off before I expel you, Mr. Aizawa said. What is it, handsome? Why am I in this class? Maybe I was in the support. Aizawa frowned. What do you mean? Be rational for once. You were placed in the hero course. With a sigh, Aizawa sank down into his chair. Immediately, I'm going. Who are you anyway? Kazuma asked, his legs kicked up on his desk. Some sort of bum who wandered into the school. Kazuma, that's the teacher, showed Aizawa. Well, it looks like I'm going to have a smaller class by the end of the day. At least that will cut down on all the work. Aizawa deadpan. Who died and put you in charge? Kazuma demanded of Ada. I'm the O. Ada flushed, looking embarrassed. That is, everyone in favor of making engine leg. Bakugo sighed, raising his hand. Everyone quickly raised their hands, save for Kazuma, who did so after another glare from Uraka. Aizawa blinked. What is Izuku? He wondered just what.
Oh, we're definitely on the same page. I know we're super close. This chapter 121 is actually the real chapter, probably. The real one. We know that. And this might be actually the one that fucking actually the chapter that we needed. Fuck's sake. Yes. 21. Yeah, that might be the actual chapter that I actually got finished on. Because I know we're done so fucking close. But after this chapter, after chapter 21, it's done. We're not done with the dad. That's for the guy that's the other. For fuck's sake. If you're not, I'm gonna be pissed. Let's continue though.
And they're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho hee hee ha ha, to the funny farm, where life is beautiful all the time. And I'll be happy to see those nice young men in their clean white coats. And they're coming to. For the life of him, Kazuma could not understand why he was standing out in the morning sun dressed in a PE uniform. Well, he sort of understood. He just. Apparently, I should be inside playing games. Kazuma, I haven't seen what sort of MMO there are in this world. Being in school is seriously going to cut into my grinding sessions. But someone had to kill my hopes and dreams. Darkness shook her head. I told you we're learning to be heroes. Just think of how skilled Midoriya and the others were. We could afford to learn something from this Mr. Aizawa. I don't know, I feel like lying in bed and eating chips all day. Aqua muttered. That's what mortals do, right? If you do that, you be the only virgin need in our group. Darkness pointed out. Aqua frowned. Why should I? I'm going to beat you this time, Megumin. Union shouted as she ran to the pitch fire in her eyes. You'll see. I'll finally be a worthy rival. Yeah, whatever. Megumin muttered, clearly uninterested while focusing and trying to push up her jumpsuit. Hey, Aqua, I'm going to do my best too, Eris said, giving the former goddess a big smile. We might be ordinary mortals now, but we still have to try. Fine, Aqua groused. I'm not letting my junior beat me, even if we both are pathetic humans now. I guess I'll try. Kazuma agreed with a heavy sigh. It'd be boring to be stuck at home. Wait, had he really said that? He was a NEET. Being at home on his own was his life's goal. And yet he really didn't want to just sit around at home alone, even if he could play video games. Sure, it sounded fun if he and the girls were there, or maybe even Midoriya or Takuyami for a few hours, but on his own. It just didn't have the same appeal as it used to. Kazuma watched, bored as the students. died. The spiky-haired blonde kid roared and let off a massive explosion as he did so, sending the crispy fried ball into the stratosphere. Wait, we can use detonation magic, Megumin cried, suddenly invested in the test. The teacher shrugged. You can use whatever your quirk allows or other method you choose. Just remember, you darkness, I will need your help. Megumin cried. I'll need your helping your fellow students is hardly logical and isn't something you can. I, oh, piss off, old man. Bakugo grumbled as he slouched back to his place in the group. In a real fight, you have to rely on your allies. No one's tough enough to take on a boss villain alone. Instantly, most of the. Wait, your rock asked. I think he did. The kid with the engines in his legs. Oh, relax. The pink-skinned Baku. Their teacher narrowed his. Aqua. We're in the same grade now, though. Eris mumbled, flexing her arm. Aqua strode up. She went 95 meters. The teacher. Hob, that's not as impressive as Porcupine's score, but Aqua Eris. She looked at the. You said that's little as awesome lesser strength, greater fortune, greater endurance, featherweight. Eris stuck her tongue out between her lips, stood on one leg in a perfect pitcher's stance before hurling the ball in a sharp arc. One. Aqua Azawa's eyebrow twitched. What part of this do you not understand about this? I said you should use your quirks. So long as you complete the challenge, anything else is allowed. There is no cheating in this exam. My turn then? Megumin cackled, striding forward confidently. She tossed the ball. Maybe everyone should step back. You're why is every dude, don't question it. That's the crazy chick the Crimson Demons were always raving about, and Union says she's nuts. Kirsch, come on. Yes, you should all beware. Megumin roared. She didn't let on. Kazuma took. He noticed that the teacher's eyes suddenly. Explosion. Megumin roared as she flung the ball, and of course, it wasn't her biggest one. She was obviously holding back, but the ball hit the shockwave and was launched out of sight. They really went through the softballs at this school. How many points, Kazuma's? Megumin giggled from her position flat on her back. Kazuma rubbed his chin as their classmates slowly returned. Well, I noticed that one wasn't full power, so I have to give you credit there. You clearly timed it well so that the ball would catch the shockwave just right. I give you full points for technique, but I have to take a few off. Well, congratulations. You turned your ball to ash mid-flight, so I can't mark where it landed. Their teacher deadpanned. So, since I didn't get a number, the ball was mostly intact during flight, but May piped up. That was will that even work? Megumin asked as Kazuma picked her up and carried her back over to the class. I mean, I'm not. Hey, it's probably fine. They said I could keep my spells in gear, so I think we'll be all right. Which is good because my quirk is just Zoom, which makes my eyesight very good, May remarked. All the while their teacher was looking out at the field, studying the crater as well as where the last located location was for the ball. From the way his brow twitched, Azawa glanced at Megumin, who gave him a smug grin. That was a drained touch. Kazuma's darkness. Wait, is she? Kaminar, have a care, Kazuma. She is. Oh, relax, bird brain. She's got stamina to spare, Kazuma said. He stopped the spell, dusting off his hands and standing. There, that should be good. Yes, I am ready for my next spell. Megumin agreed eagerly, jumping to her feet. I would like to see you do better, Union. Okay. Union moved forward, taking the ball. I'm saying it now, the next person to blow up the field completely is their team. Oh, I'm not doing that. Union. She looked up, pointing to, what if I hit the moon? Well, Azawa stated bland. Union, great advanced teleport. The ball vanished in her hands. You'll have to take my word that the ball's on the moon. What, you can't teleport the ball to the moon? You can only teleport it to places. Megumin, Azawa, is that true? Aizawa sighed. That just raises more questions I probably won't like the answer to. We'll be having a talk later. In any case, distance is essentially unlimited anyway. The score stands. You're going. Well, it's what I did last time. I mean, the last time I bet my friends. Or something. She took the ball, touched Aizawa. The pad read, Kazuma, of course, repeated the trick, though his results were rather less impressive as his feather spell only reduced an object weight, not totally eliminating the effects of gravity. May had cobbled together a small pocket rocket, and her ball had traveled about 1,000 meters before blowing up. Aizawa counted it to the last point before impact, at which point Kazuma decided that the test was more about how smart you were about a play. As he said this out loud, Aizawa simply stared at him in judgment that it took this long. The really interesting thing, though, was when Midoriya stepped up. When he threw the ball, it traveled a paltry 70 meters, not even. However, I've told you before, However, I've told you before, if you destroy yourself with your quirk, you won't be able to save anyone. Aizawa growled at Midoriya. Sir, don't worry. I got this, Midoriya assured. I've been Aizawa. Fine, but if you break your arm, I'm not sending you to the nurse. You'll have to spend the rest of the test that way. No, he won't. I'll just heal him. Aqua snapped. Aizawa raised an eyebrow at her. And if I told you not to? Then I would do it anyway, because he's my friend, Aqua sniffed. And you would be a big stupid meanie. Not listening to the teacher is a good way to get yourself Aizawa pointed out. Aqua planted her hand. Well, then you're dumb. A real sure, whatever, Kazuma said with a shrug. I'm sure we could make some cash beating up low-level villains or whatever. Cause if you're not sticking around, not, or me, Megumin. Oh, just relax. Aizawa studied. Bakugo flushed, his lips formed. Bakugo, Iris, this is no behavior for a knight. The sound of Bakugo grinding his teeth was audible, but he didn't say anything further. Aizawa nodded, motioning for Midoriya to throw the ball. He stepped up to the plate, arm crackling with power. As he threw, Izuku, I think, heal, Aqua said, and then stuck her tongue out at Aizawa. Right, well, you didn't break your arm at least, so I suppose I'll count that. Aizawa sighed. But you still need better control. Yes, sir, sorry. Next time I'll hold back a little more. And why does she call the guy Big Bro? Are you two related or something? It's a long story, Kazuma hesitated to say. He was still curious as to how Iris was alive and apparently the same age as him, which seemed to be about 16. Iris took the ball, closing her eyes and taking a deep breath. Then her eyes snapped open. Sacred sword technique. She sent the ball soaring, nearly as hard as Midoriya had, sending it well over the horizon and earning herself a respectable 500 kilometers after which meant that Aqua was firmly in land. The rest of the tests were the sort of thing Kazuma expected from him. He didn't try very hard, just doing well enough not to end up too near the bottom. His best event was probably the standing long jump, since he had the acrobatic skill and could. Aqua, of course, came in dead last in every. Aqua, shut back you. I told you he was. I've. Kazuma stepped closer to Hatsu. She nodded and pushed her. Hatsu, that brought Aizawa up short, and he turned his attention to Mei. What was he? Aizawa glanced at his hand. All right, Kazuma. Right, some of you seem to be taking this seriously, but others are. Hey, Kazuma, might want to reconsider before you decide to. Well, it seems I won't be expelling the lowest scoring individual after all. Aizawa looked up at Aqua, who was still sniveling. You've got some growing up to do, but at least you seem to have a basic concept of teamwork. Back to class. We've apparently wasted enough time. What did you do? Eris asked Kazuma as they walked back to get changed again. Kazuma grinned. I put eyes. That's rather clever. Ada remarked as they entered. But not, well, I won, so who cares? Kazuma shrugged. Besides, I can't let Aqua stay. You two are total. You seem to know those girls rather well. Nah, we're just in the same apartment. Kazuma waved. That's a fucking understatement. Bakugo muttered. Should have let the blue-haired bimbo fix her own problems. Don't know why Eris looks up to her. She seems dumb. You don't get to do the kind of shit is shifty. You hear? Katsuki. Aqua's my friend. The fuck is it to you, nerd? Bakugo demanded as we're buddies. Kazuma said, reappearing. Was it just him, or had the other boy shrunk a little? It was a little hard to tell since. So you mess with me, you mess with Midoriya. Hiding behind friends, huh? Bakugo snarled. Well, there was a Katsuki. Iris. Shut up, woman. That you do you abandon your oath so easily? Shall I call you Iris demanded. That Hugo flushed. Fine, but you're telling me why the frick he's your big brother. Quiet down and get changed. Azawa's voice snapped them from their shouting match. That Hugo ground his teeth again. Kazuma, for his part, he's my friend too, you know. Plus, he might literally make you explode. Seriously, you're friends with Captain Asshole over there? Kazuma asked incredulously. You're like the nicest guy I know. He has the personality of a fire drake with a sore tooth. Bragging, that Hugo snapped. I'm not some weak-ass fire drake. Well, that explains why Iris has you whipped, Kazuma shot back. Because she spanks dragons before breakfast. Right, I'm putting a stop. It is. He pointed again at Bakugo. Silence as well. Kazuma rolled his eyes and opened his mouth before stopping. Thank you, Todoroki said. That was Bakugo waved. I'm not lifting it until you both behave. It is. He glanced at Kazuma. Perhaps I should have Kaminari shock both of you, though I'm up for it. Wait till you get a load of my powers. Where'd you learn a silent spell? Midoriya asked curiously. It's part of my quirk. Dude, even I can figure out something's going on. Kaminari said, bet we're Ada. We'll talk about Todoroki's. Come on. We must be perfect. Kazuma quickly got his school uniform back on. Right, as up. Now it's time for introductions. Apparently, some of you know each other already, but I need a few minutes as someone replaced all my whiteboard markers. Azawa, okay. Union, my name is Union, and I am from, Tokyo. What? No. I'm giving a proper introduction, Megumin. If you do not give a real, proper introduction in the way of our people, I will not let you pet Chomsuk for a week. I will steal your lunch every day, and I will no longer be your rival. Megumin, Chomsuk is here. But I don't think. Just get it over. I am she whose quirk is advanced magics, knowing dozens of the Union. I'm sorry. That's how Crimson Demons are supposed to intro. That's enough, it's my turn. Megumin ordered just as Mr. Azab. Behold, I am Megumin, dark goddess of the Crimson Demon cult. I am she who is mistress of explosion magic, the most powerful of all quirks. Assemble. Hatsum jumped up out of her seat, posing below Megumin. Behold, I am May Hatsum, high priestess of the Crimson Demon cult. I am she who shall make the cutest babies ever and who is the strongest husband in class. Hi, Izuku. Midoriya blushed and waved shyly. Kazuma, for his part, was struggling not to laugh. I am darkness. She who is toughest amidst the Tokyo Sentai squad. Dark. I am she who with a sigh, Uraraka got up and walked up. Behold, psst. Megumin hissed. Aqua? But I'm not part of the Crimson Demon cult. Aqua, that's IT? The teacher roared. No, it's not, Aqua gasped. She screamed. I am Aqua. She who is most beautiful amidst the Tokyo Sentai. The five girls. Aizawa, are you done? Yes, Megumin said, hopping down. That is how. She took a bow, and Kazuma and Izuku clapped politely. Right. Aizawa took a pad of paper out of it. Then I want you to know, Megumin, that if I get expelled, I'm charging you for my tuition. Uraraka said with a heavy sigh as she took the. I'm sending you all to the nurse. Aizawa, before I strangle all. What is Chunibyo? Meg, is that a dark, terrible disease? Because I only. No, you do, because. Aizawa. In 3-2. There was a rush for the door. Iyurazu said. She pointed at Aizawa and chanted, cleanse. The coffee vanished from Aizawa. I'm sorry, you look like you. Iyurazu said. Right, that's new. What the hell is wrong with my paperwork? Aizawa. He glared at Kazuma. Any objections? Yo, I'm Kazuma. Kazuma said, standing and walking to the front of the class. That's interesting and potentially very good for relief situations. Fine, go sit. Kazuma passed out snacks to everyone in the class as Aizawa took out a face mask. He wasn't really fooling anyone, though. Kazuma could tell he was watching them like a hawk. He listened to the introductions of most of the students with My quirk is royal blood of heroes, which enables me
Okay, there's a lot of things that the gently have to listen to a lot. See if I can skip a lot though. Sorry guys. This is too much.
to use Azawa. Do I know? Iris said, bowing. You merely, Azawa groaned softly. I picked a bad year to quit smoking. Back you, I'm Katsuki back. Then if you do not introduce yourself properly, Iris, Bakugo glared at her. What, Iris? I told you I shall return and reclaim my throne and free. I am Sir Katsuki Bakugo, Dragon Knight of Belzer. I wield the holy axe. Then Bakugo lowered the axe back to his shoulder and turned to Azawa with a dead look on his face. Guess I'm. In response, Azawa took out a bottle of prescription strength Tylenol from. He looked at the clock and after about 30 seconds, right, you go to lunch. I'm going to decide if I should expel you all or Aizawa, a green-haired woman, because we need to talk. Fukukado, I'm slowly going insane that, or I accidentally signed a bunch of lunatics up for my course. Aizawa said, you can eat lunch with me. Oh, glad I'm not the only one. I was going to use these as a joke, but I think I could use one too now. Come on, wait, Midoriya asked Kazuma. Kazuma Romanai, Midoriya hissed. I de one. Iwe errant way Yupid stay erdne. Bakugo said, did they have a stroke? Kaminari asked, look, why are they speaking? It's Pig Latin Kaminari. Todoroki said seriously. Midoriya is trying to obscure the fact that Kazuma is from another world and Bakugo is being an ass. Look, if Kaminari's figured it out, I'm pretty sure the rest of us have to. Cure, come on, we should talk in proper. Young Midoriya, Abumi, come help. Yeah, is May will need to come. Hey, they'll have you know I'm usually the responsible one. Kazuma, yeah, because if someone screws up, Bakugo muttered. Kazuma, little sis, we need. He's not really my boyfriend, Iris said casually. More of my first prince of the sword. You know, like a fiancé. That made All Might do a double take as the fuck I am. I did not allow my sister to date, let alone what young Bakugo, what are let's go, All Might. Midori interrupted. We really do need Kazuma. Suddenly, Chunchinmar fell into Kazuma. He looked, I didn't know I could do. We really, yes, sure. Kazuma agreed, glaring at Bakugo. Bakugo grinned, any 22, and that is the story of how me and Izuku got married and May. All Might's jaw was hanging open, his lunch sitting forgotten on the. He was in his weekend. Interestingly, May didn't really seem to have. I know it sounds crazy, but we swear it's all true. Izuku added. I, well, that's quite the story and raises just as many questions as it gives answers. But it does I always say Aqua's holy worlds before I use my quirk. It helps patch things up if I make mistakes. Though still not as much Izuku. Also, it means I won't get pregnant, though I will have to ask Eris if she may. Let's not, Izuku said. I think she'd probably. You two have given me a lot. And these other students, well, I was going to ask about that. I didn't really get a good look, but we have a third hero class. I only, Izuku, yes, and I'll talk with the other teachers about it. All Might, here, you don't think we should keep, All Might, Midoriya, you just told me an incredibly powerful alien force is making an active habit of invading other worlds. There are now students who have just come out of a wartime situation. It'd be an injustice to both them and us as teachers if we weren't there to help you all. To say nothing of explaining the issue that the previously mentioned multi-world conquering force could somehow find its way here. They were not so tough, even so, an invasion of a massive army led by people strong enough to go toe-to-toe with the bearer of one for all at full power is a dangerous threat. The issue isn't you aren't stronger than them. The problem is that they might be stronger than the average person, where they can attack the weakest links. They might have a harder time conquering our world, but that does. All Might stay here, take this. The door to the teacher's lounge. After actually, do you know where I can find a left? You can use screwdriver, may explain, and you do not use fluid for headlights. I would know my parents are. Sounds like you were sent. Izuku, I'm sorry. What? How dare he treat me like this? Aqua ran. I may. She sniffed and wiped at her nose. I'll show him. How dumb does he think I am? Pretty dumb, Mace. You're not very smart. Aqua glared at May, her nostrils flaring in anger and, wait, Aqua, you still have your healing. He coughed, and when he removed, it's pretty painful. Oh, Aqua was, well, if you're a teacher, maybe you can help me with Mr. Aizawa if I heal you. I'm really, so I've heard, All Might said. Do you? Aqua stuck her hand out to heal. Oh, wow, yeah. All Might blinked. Sacred greater heal. Aqua cried, a blue aura surround when she, how, All Might, incredible, hold on, there's something else. Aqua muttered, you got a oh, All Might stammered, looking, Aqua, he feels like you a little bit. Yeah, okay, I see. This time the glow enveloped nearly the entire room, and All Might let out a gasp of shock. When the glow faded, Aqua stepped back and, don't forget, you owe me big time now. I restored the skill you were missing, but it's going to take a little while for your stamina and MP to fully come back. You've got a little. All Might was once more gaping. He looked to Izuku, shaking. Is no, but this All Might get there. What bears? Like a one-punch bear. Midoriya, you take that out. I'm tired. Aqua yawned. She walked over to the couch, fluffed up one of the pillows, then lay down and started snoring, a bit of drool leaking from her lips. Midoriya, stay right here. All Might ordered, his eyes wide and body. Don't let anything happen to the girl. Then he took off the top. What just happened? Man, was All Might really that hurt or something? He looked a little is she actually healed? A few minutes later, Principal Nez rode into the, it's me, can I have one of those giant robots? I've always wanted to take them apart and see how they work. Well, perhaps not all your questions, Nezu admitted. He hopped down, putting on a pair of spectacles, and slipped out a piece of paper from his lapel. Yes, well, she can raise the dead, which, yes, let's see. Aquamizu. That just means water, so it's a bit of a strange name. But I also have Tetsu over in one beat, so not by that much exclamation. Her quirk is registered as Archpriest. She was let in on recommendation due to her quirk possessing incredibly potent healing abilities and potential benefit with our own recovery girl in case of emergencies. She's supposedly from KonoSuba Middle School in Yanagawa, which has never actually existed despite us admitting more than 10 other students from it. Interesting. Midoriya, well, she can mace, and it was definitely, wait, really? Izuku asked. We two need Suvians pass. Ills on this make, and yet they speak French and German in other worlds. Nezu asked, this girl restored every organ that had been ripped out of my lower abdomen and reversed the associated damage from the attack with hardly more than a touch while restoring one for all to meet somehow. All Might say, it's not as strong as the original, there isn't as much stored power, I can sense it. But now it's still more than the embers I had. This is indeed a very strange, Nezu admitted. I was wondering just why I approved a third hero course, as I could not see why we would admit that many people. I looked into the budget. We received several very large donations to open a third first-year hero class, along with recommendations for an additional 17 students, some of which, as you've no doubt noticed from my previous listing, do not quite fit, including this young lady here. Midoriya Hatsum, would you mind looking at this? I'm sure, Izuku said. Well, I am different. There are only 19 students in the support course I made. Yeah, and then there's all the new students in our class. Izuku made, well, some of them are obviously strange, like these sisters, Rem and Ramakuma from one. I do not remember them at all, or this felt like Unica. That sounds foreign. We can add Natsuki Subaru and Amelia Fortuna too. I don't remember them either, Izuku said as May highlighted.
Guys, Philo and Reptilio taking a. We know that's from fucking Shoot Hero, okay? That's me cool now. Oh, and new Nefumi. Okay, let's see. There's some definitely some things that are from the other animes as well. Thank God. That's kind of cool, kind of.
Their selections. There is also Philo, Philolial, and Raphtalia Tanuki. I would remember someone named Tanuki, May stated. I think Iwatani Naofumi is new too, Izuku said hesitantly. Hitoshi Shinso was in UA before, but he was in the general studies course. I remember them calling his name during the sport. Izuku, all of the students in the hero course now are the ones who participated in the cavalry battle, May noted. And look, they are all with the people who were in their teams. I think their classes changed, but not their teammates. Maybe they got caught in the explosion. That would make sense. I don't think there are many ways to survive a point-blank black hole. Izuku agreed. He looked up and handed the corrected paper. Our best guess is that there are 15 students here who weren't before. Maybe they are from other worlds like Aqua, but we don't really know. 2 students also came in from other courses. Right, we'll begin our, Nezu said. Hurry back to class, take Aqua with you. You have a protocol for students from another world showing up at your school. May asked, wrinkling her nose in disbelief. Nezu chuckled. My dear, I'm the principal at a school for young heroes. This might be the strangest thing I've seen, but that just means we must be ready to do. Nezu grinned. Izuku whispered, just 5 more minutes. Aizawa was super mean to me, sending me after. Why did he? May asked. Well, he gave us our class schedules, and I told him that we didn't have nearly enough creative classes. Math, science. Those are boring. Young developing minds need art classes, like painting, sculpture, pottery, and music. He told me that art had nothing to do with. Aqua dug a piece of paper out of her pocket, unfolding it. It was rather. Wow, that's a really good. It looked. Oh my gosh. I didn't know this world had talking. Aqua, that's the principal. Izuku whispered. You should. Aqua said. But while I accept the compliment, I will let you know that under any other circumstance I would respond to treatment like this quite violent. Nezu, but since it's your first day in this world as a mortal human, I'm going to make an exception. Go back to class, young lady. Tears welled up in Aqua's eyes, and her lip trembled, but she stood and bowed, presenting the drawing to Nezu, who accepted it. I am very sorry, she whispered, then turned for the door. Come on. I'm just a dumb, human girl. Aqua forgot her tears quickly enough, joining in with May as she began to hum as they walked through the halls. Soon, Aqua and May were both skipping along to their improvised melody. Izuku couldn't help but be slightly jealous of Aqua. Despite her faults, she seemed to bounce back to a positive. Maybe when they finally decided to rejoin us, did you? Yes, May whispered. Nice teacher who was trying to help me learn. Then Aqua bowed. Sorry, sir, Izuku explained. All might. Aizawa's eyes raced over the note. Then his eyes shifted. Izuku took his. How long? Izuku. How long did it take Aqua to realize there's no such thing? Kazuma. What, you knew? You stupid. Aqua. Special circumstances aside, misbehavior will still be punished. Aizawa spoke out, his back to the class as he wrote on the board. Izuku glanced up, then did a double take. Ada asked, his voice shaking as sweat. Or what is that? Aizawa turned around, having drawn several globes with rough condents on them, 2 clocks and calendar. So Aizawa said, who wants to explain? Oh shit. Pure damnation. Todoroki growled. We were not perfect. Well, I could try to dominate Mind's spell and try to alter his memory. Yaoyorozu said reluctantly. We could fight our way out. We can take him. That's your solution to everything. And do you? Yeah, and like the rest of us would just sit here while you go to town on Teach. That crap, you figure it out, or did the nerd tattle on us? Actually, Midoriya handed me a note that simply had a code phrase that indicated a paranormal event had taken place, one that could involve either an alteration to reality or the intersection of a separate one. Aizawa explained, starting to pace back and forth at the front of the room, eyes never leaving the view of his students. It could have simply been a reality-bending quirk. Those have emerged before. But a few things didn't add up. For one thing, MS Fukuato, who you may know as MS Joe, has told me many times she dislikes you and our elitist attitude. I recall her telling me that as recently as this spring. And yet here she was, a newly hired teacher at UA. She herself was somewhat confused as to her state of mind when we had lunched together. Secondly, you all behave more comfortably around one another than you should for a group of students who should, by and large, not know each other barring a few exceptions. Several of you even behave like couples, and not simply awkward teens who are just beginning a relationship, but people who have known one another for some time and are quite comfortable. Why do you give a damn if we're dating? There's some sort of school policy against that, Kazuma demanded. That'd be real stupid. We're teenagers. We get horny sometimes. And then there's your attitudes towards me. Aizawa continued over Kazuma's remarks. The vast majority of my students are at least a little intimidated on their first day of high school. Even those that are not treat me with a certain degree of respect as a teacher and pro hero, mostly because they know if they pushed too far they could prematurely end the career they had been training years for. Right now, most of you seem to view me as somewhere between a peer and a mentor, but not someone with a great deal more experience than you. I'd like to know how many demon kings you've beaten up. Aqua muttered, then squeaked as darkness kicked her chair. Azawa's eyes narrowed slightly, but he pressed on, noting the complaint. Then, of course, there's the fact that I attempted to cancel out Megumin's quirk when I realized she was going to do something phenomenally stupid and egregious, both for the simple task of hurling a ball as far as she could, as well as at the risk of nearly everyone around her possibly unprepared. And yet she was able to easily use said ability, even though I was preventing. That is because explosion magic is the most powerful magic, and I have invested more skill points into it than any other. No simple spell can prevent me from using explosion. From Megumin. Then she tried to jump up on top, levitate, Uraraka sighed, pointing at Megumin just before she face planted. The other Megumin, if he wasn't suspicious of you before, he knows something is wrong with you now. Takuya, Dark Shadow, please, you should learn to shut up. Dark Shadows, Uraraka canceled her spell. So, before any of my friends shoot their mouths off again and ruin everything, why, I don't exactly know, Aizawa said slowly, looking around. But if I had to guess, several of you have been displaced in time and space and seem to come from a world where there are no quirks, but rather some sort of how shows what you know teach. I was born here in Japan, and I do have. Bakugo laughed, holding up a hand. Aizawa's eyes suddenly glowed, though they could have been because Iris slammed. Katsuki, you will respect our teacher. We are here to be trained as heroes. He is clearly a great man. You spoke of him with respect before. Iris lectured to fuck off with that. Bakugo snarled, spinning around in his seat and a hand rubbing what was sure to be a knot. Damn it, woman, you're not the bitch queen of the universe here, haven't you figured that out? No, but I am still perfectly capable of beating you into submission, Katsuki. Iris, now behave. All right, stop the train right the fuck back. What is with this intended BS? What the fuck is going on? Mr. Ada, if you would. Iris, silent. It is hold person. Yera, Mr. Aizawa, Iris said. I'm Iris. I agreed to come to this world to receive the training I would need to free Belzerd once and for all. Though we defeated the Tomb's General Demiurge, I hold no illusions that Nazarick is driven back. Iris said, her tone grim. Here I will need allies to raise an army that I might return and reclaim my throne. You swore to aid me in that, Lady Eris. Aqua perked up, looking tears. Perhaps you should simply call me Eris. I am a simple mortal once more. A thief, not a goddess. But I'll do all I can to help you, Iris. I did give my word, and you are my friend. Me too, Union. We'll all help Lady Iris. Why should I help the woman who keeps trying to steal my man? Megan Kazuma put his Hey, whoa, slow down. We were talking about Aizawa, not shrew. Why, I ought to I apologize, my Thank you, Lady Dustiness. It is good to know my father's old allies shall be at my side once more, Iris said sweetly. Then she giggled. Now, Kazuma stopped struggling, then rolled his eyes and shook his head. Darkness set him and Megumin back down, giving both of them a stern glare before going back to her own seat. Well, Aizawa deadpanned. I do not have Megumin. I'm merely a proud member of the Megumin. Just stop. Our clan's ways were embarrassing enough back in Belzerd. Union groaned, trying to hide. Don't you know the saying? Megumin glared daggers at Union, but managed to shut up for once. So I take it you actually think you're some sort of lost queen from a faraway kingdom who's... Have you... With a sudden blast, smoke billowed from the heavy... She's the real fucking deal, Bakugo growled. And if you want to talk shit about Aizawa regard, why don't you take a seat? It seems we have a great deal to discuss. The flames and smoke vanished, and Bakugo, yes, sir. But what I said stands too. I died once to protect Iris' honor. Getting it. With that, Bakugo said, Izaku eyed his friend. Something was very different about Bakugo. It started more than 200 years ago when Kazuma's party was showed Aizawa had a problem. Well, to be more accurate, he had 20 problems, but one of his more mundane ones had just walked into the meeting room. Wow, Fuku, did your class? I'd like to promise I have yours beat. Aizawa. Ah, Fukuka. No, I presented challenges I was facing in meeting my students' needs. You just as Fukukato. That's because they're kids, Shota. Those little personal details are how you connect with them, help them grow as people, and not to mention give nods to whatever secrets they think they're carting around. But Jesus Christ, I do recall mine had reports of sexual misconduct in his file. Did he cause you any serious issues? Aizawa growled. He really tried not to get angry, but sexual harassment was never something he tolerated in any circumstance. That the attention could be directed to his close friend just made it worse, because she was a valued and respected colleague, or something like that. You know, it was actually the darndest thing. He went up to several of the girls and apologized to them before class. If I didn't have access to their files, I also would have sworn half these kids had already been together for months. Fuku and the other half. Shota, this is going to sound crazy, but they've definitely got some foreign or off-the-record connections or something. They don't act Japanese at all, and Aizawa's you're hiding some. Fukukato immediately. Would it kill you to just talk? No, ha. Your face? Fuku. He paused, eyeing the Joker for a moment, then the two of them together. I don't normally popping the cork. You brought vodka to school. Wow, I didn't think you teachers would be the type. Then she took a long swallow, letting out a satisfied, God, pass it here. As I can, wait seriously. I thought you'd be the first in line. Most things are fine in moderation, and some situations call for some kind of relief. Aizawa said, taking a long swig, swallowing, then taking another quicker sip. I have a feeling we're all dealing with fallouts of one kind or another. In mine, it just happens to also be oh, I don't know, do you have Ayn Rand's biggest fanboy and his two sex slaves in your class? Ken grumbled, swiping back the flask before it was drained. How, you're kidding me? Fukukato laughed. Ken just took a long drink from his flask, his eyes staring ahead at a blank second. Oh crap, you're not. Is, consenting. Fuck, I need more detail than that. All right, you have got to spill next, Aizawa. I need the crazy shaking. Frankly, Midoriya might be one of the more well-adjusted ones in my class. And possibly married. Oh good, it wasn't just me with the oversexed weirdos. Seriously, Tanuki. Not even subtle with a name like that, you just know they're gonna be a horny bastard. I know these are teens, but this is ridiculous. Ken, I swear it seems like half my class is draping themselves all over one another, and it's the first day. Right, what the hell is up with that? They're 15, for crying out loud. I was horny when I was that age, you still am, but Fukukato. So who's Midoriya think he's hitched? Young Midoriya will be my response. Aizawa closed his eyes and barely stifled it. Of course, he admired, looked up to him. Hell, but he had literally never taught before, nor seemed to be trying to gain any teaching ability since it had been decided. What was he? At least Fukukawa. Still, Aizawa. Hello, everyone, Nezu said cheerily, hopping up into his elevated chair from All Might's shoulder as the man himself took a seat. We'll have a larger meeting later, but for the moment I wanted to talk to the three of you first. You all have a, let's call them, unique class roster that really can. You don't say. Aizawa told you it was a damn mistake to let in so many students with recommendations, and damn it, this time I'm agreeing with him. I'm not one to expel kids on the first day like he does, but I was this close to it. Well, you may have a few things you're not used to dealing with, but we will have to adjust. Nezu attempted to calm. I'm sure our students' talents will one day make them valuable assets. Can you say that with certainty? Because I have a student who's seemingly half a step away from villainy already. Aizawa growled, his tone growing more hysterical by the second. I almost think I need to be committed after today. Half my class is a bunch of Chunibyo lunatics with the collective power to blow up an entire mountain, and the other half believes they've spent the last year in a fantasy realm and that they're the damn knights of the round table. And that doesn't even account for the two that think they are literal. By the end of it, Kyukyuado and okay, you win. Fukikado nodded. I knew I never should have come to work. What, I never talked you in. As I remember telling Nezu you were a good teacher and a competent hero, even if you did annoy me to the bone, but I never would have tried. What, you practice Fukikado? And now you're acting. I did no such thing. Aizawa then perhaps, or he Fukikado Aizawa focus. Tell me exactly what you remember about the hiring process this year. Nezu demanded with a quick chop of his paw, bringing their focus back. Because I distinctly remember Aizawa and Ken talking me into expanding the hero program, with All Might suggesting we hire him as Joke as our third teacher. Wait, really? You've heard about me. Fukikado, the big. Well, I recall that you were a bright young hero at one point. I did try to keep tabs on everyone, and we have spoken professionally once or twice, but once you retired into teaching, I lost track, to be frank. After several minutes, how do we all have different memories of the hero program expanding? Does this have, as because I'd honestly, Midoriya, All Might groaned, resting, he does need to learn to be more discreet. I understand why he told. Oh no, I realized something was wrong before Nezu sent the note. Like the fact that I was unable to prevent one of my students from blowing up half the baseball field. Aizawa, what, you couldn't? I knew you'd probably gotten rust. No, my quirk is still fully functional. My student claimed to be using magic, and frankly, I'm starting to care less and less if she's right. Did I mention before that all my students claim to have been trapped in a fantasy world and had to defeat someone called the Lord of the Tomb and his minions? Because it seems to be gaining credence the more I consider it. Or the as All Might look to Nezu. We have reason to believe that a good chunk of our students aren't from our reality at all, and that the rest spent an unknown amount of time in another world. Fukikado, and here I thought I would. Not even slightly, Nezu said grimly. All Might has good reasons to trust Midoriya, who came to him directly and explained that he's from either an alternate future or timeline, and afterwards spent. You're just going to take. Can I'm surprised. Have you noticed anything different about me? All Might. Fukikado frowned, then her eyes went wide. You're in your muscular form. I thought that was super taxing for you. Why would you waste time in a meeting like that? Slowly, carefully, All Might unbuttoned his shirt, revealing his side. Or rather, the lack of something there. Aizawa sucked in a sharp breath. Your injury. It's gone. Aqua healed me completely. Not even the strongest healing quirks I had scouted or sought help from across the world could repair the entirety of the damage, All Might said as he redid his shirt. But she did. Within minutes. Midoriya says she was a literal deity, and both he and Hatsum stated they've seen her raise the dead. She also, well, you all knew I was weakening. The truth was my quirk was failing, faltering, burning out. I feared that within a year I would lose access to it completely. You know such thing, Ken looked. All for one it was him, wasn't it? Nor, yes, but we need not fear. My quirk is restored. It's not as powerful as it was in my prime, but it's stronger than it has been in years, and I no longer feel it. All Might, and there is another matter. You came here to find Aizawa me. I had my suspicions, especially when you once said your quirk was called One for All. Can you do something with it similar to what? Yeah, okay, gift that keeps on giving or some shit, probably whatever, but did you just say we had God walking through our halls? And I also need you to clarify if we're talking uppercase G. If she's a deity, I'm becoming an as Canidum passed his sadly empty flask. You were already an atheist. Yes, but now I will be forever devoted to the idea that there is a God. As Midori indicated, she was a healing goddess with a domain in the arts as well as water. Nezu said, and as far as I can tell, there are two deities in your class. If Neofumi is a god, I am finding every copy of Atlas Shrugged and the Fountainhead I can find and burning them with extreme cancer. I remember being a jackass when I was a teen, but that boy has more in common with a rabid dog. We know the least regarding the status of the students in your class so far, Nezu admitted. So far as I'm aware, I only have ready information on those in Aizawa's class, namely Sato Kazuma, Aquamizu, Megumin Bakuretsu, and Lalatina Ford Dustiness. Also, more pressing is that there is a very real chance that all our students really did clash with this Lord of the Tomb, especially given the evidence at hand. All Might stated gravely. From what Midoriya told us, there is, or was, an evil overlord who has been systematically invading other universes and subjugating them, alongside slaughtering their human populations, according to Belzer, my miss. I was really hoping, perhaps it is but exaggeration or no, right now, we have very real evidence that there is a serious existential threat out there and that our world may very well be next on his list or targeted in the future. Nezu nodded grimly. We'll be talking to the rest of our staff and bringing them up to speed with what we know, alerting higher branches in the Hero Commission as needed, and I'll be going to my contacts in the government, as well as a few pro-heroes I know I can trust. I've already contacted Sir Night-Eye. He'll be coming, all my, as well as give us. So what about the rest of us? Look, I was a pro for a while, and I've been teaching for nearly as long, but this is way the hell above my pay grade. This is so the same way we do every other kid, I guess, even a bit easier if their standards are as low as I can guess. Aizawa sighed. Once I calmed them down, they did seem to all want to learn how to be heroes, or at least better fighters. The real trick will be pounding the meaning of heroism into them, I think. For now, we're going to play this close to our chests. I don't want the media getting a hold of this and it turning into a circuit. For all their supposed experience, they do seem to still, by and large, be young adults or teens who are in desperate. I'll beat the objectivist bullshit out of them if I can. A real hero isn't a self-interest. Well, if these kids have been through as much shit as I think they have, someone needs to at least try and teach them how to smile again. As I haven't run screaming for the hills just yet. If having to Gata, Hato, and Amajiki in my class couldn't break me, neither will these kids. What is it with the blue-haired bimbos? Thank you all. I know this is going to push us all to our limits as educators, so I'm counting on you to all go beyond. Plus ultra. Fukukato, can. I'll let you I'll need to go speak with Sir Night-Eye. With that, the meeting broke up with Ken heading home to his family, and Fuku, hey, I know what we should do. We should go on a date. A few more drinks would make this whole as up when you put it like that. Fine, at least then you'll also stop. Yeah, see you tomorrow. You wait, did you just say yes? Fukukato began to wave goodbye before halting in her tracks. I just found out that God's real and she's an idiot. I think getting plastered is about the right response, as I was stated. Fukukato considered that, then shrugged. Yeah, I'll take what I can get. So where are the good bars around here? Do you seriously think I know much about the local nightlife? Azawa asked. You pick one. I don't care. Ha, just like the good old days, back when we were lovers, patrolling the city together. We were never lovers. Oh, you kidder. I know you've got a burning flame of passion in your heart. Come on, let's find a karaoke place. It'll be fun. I would literally rather die. PFF, after today, don't tempt me. Hey, come on, I think there's a dive bar not too far away. Smile, Aizawa. How many people get to say they are God's teacher? Tell you what, I'll trade you classes. Then you can deal with them. 24, right? I'm officially calling the first meeting of the Order of Belzer to order, Kazuma declared, rapping his spoon on his glass. They were all sitting around a table at a dinner not far from UA, their first day of school having ended. Wait, why are we
Get back, guys. I'm back, guys. Okay, we're gonna take a little breakish. Okay, probably a 5 minute break. Okay, but I think I got everything I need, okay? I can do that now. Okay, let's just do this and finish it. I think I actually do what I need.
Be here. Takayami asked, frowning. I'm not from Belzer. Neither is Uraka. Yeah, what exactly is this about, Kazuma? Uraka agreed. And shouldn't all those kids from your world be here too? Eris told me she was too busy to participate in my shenanigans. Aqua grumbled as she grabbed a handful of fries to shove into her mouth. Hey, careful with those. Takayami and I are paying for them. Uraka snapped, trying to reach over to make Aqua put some back. Relax, let them eat. I have sufficient funds. Takayami said, taking out his wallet and withdrawing more of the strange yen bills on them. Why did they have a picture of their teacher All Might on the 1,000 yen bill? That was pretty weird in Kazuma's opinion. Yes, we need to keep up our strength. And Union said she was going on a date with Cyril. Megumin said, but then isn't she the queen or something? Yes, I was wondering why you did not invite her, or Sir Bakugo, Kazuma, Darkness said. She wasn't indulging in the greasy fries, instead having got a bowl of pork cutlets and rice, claiming she needed the protein. Still, I'm impressed you were what, Kazuma asked. Well, I never liked Bakugo anyway, and Iris seems really sweet. Of course we have, you barely know either of them. Kazuma, this is scandalous, Darkness hissed. Iris is our queen. It is our duty to support her. If she has chosen, yeah, and have you met the asshole? Do you really see him as being good for Iris? I thought the Dustiness family was supposed to be the crown's. Kazuma snarled. Darkness has, I do not know. She seems fond of him, and from her tale, he was her strongest supporter. Yeah, because he thinks he's going to tap that ass. Well, I for one am not going, Kazuma declared. Aren't you from Japan? Takayami asked. How exactly is the Kazuma? She's adopted. Kazuma used to think he was going to become a harem anime protagonist. Megumin confided. He thought I was the tsundere, Darkness was the one-chan, Aqua was the bimbo, and Iris was the moto character. What? I thought no such thing. Kazuma protested, his face going scarlet. Uraka, however, oh, of course he did. Oh my God, no wonder the Baron. Hey, why was I the bimbo? Aqua obviously, I should be the soup. Sorry, I meant the Bakakami. Megumin said, keeping her face perfectly straight. That's better. Aqua agreed, grabbing her soda and slurping it down. Man, this stuff is great. Takayami, give me more money. Fine, but you're gonna have to get your own, Takayami said, handing it. She heard. I guess she really is the idiot goddess. Kazuma chuckled. Then he turned serious. We really do need to break Iris and Bakugo up, though. I've seen. Who did you have in mind? Megumin demanded, her eyes narrowing at Kazuma. Well, not me, obviously. I dunno, we'll figure something out, someone strong and nice and deserving of my love. Kazuma, are you certain? Meddling in Darkness said, sounding and looking concerned. Belzerg was not well known for its court intrigue. We were too often under assault from one or another devil king, for they always seemed drawn to our nation. But even among the nobles of Belzerg, playing politics was a hazardous affair. Right, so you know all this noble stuff. How do we, Kazuma? Darkness. Well, a formal challenge could be issued to Bakugo for the right to be Iris's shield. We cannot interfere in her selection of the first prince of the sword directly, for it is the queen's right to choose her consort. Formal challenge to a fight, Kazuma asked, his heart sinking. He was a lot of things, and Bakugo was a few choice words, but one thing Kazuma knew was that there was no way in hell that he could take Bakugo in a fair fight. Sure, he could probably figure out how to beat him if he's not. Well, then clearly I should. Megumin. I have seen hit that would Megumin, you are not well suited to being a shield, do you not agree? Darkness asked when Megumin. This is something I should have done regardless. It is traditional for the shield to be tested by several of the court. No, now Takayami asked, where exactly can we do that in Darkness? The gut. What do you mean? He means that. Dark shadow began, but Takayami shone a flashlight on the manifestation, which whined and went back to hiding under the table quietly. Using quirks in public is illegal, unless you're a pro hero. Don't you guys, oh man, you don't know that, do you? Uraraka asked. You mean we can't use magic in public? Kazuma asked. Why not? It was never an issue before. Takayami shrugged. Quirks can be dangerous. Dark shadow is not the only hazardous one by any means. From gigantification quirks, which can cause serious property damage, to creating panic when someone uses a flashy one. I have a little leeway, however. Here, Takayami withdrew something. He and Fumikage Takayami quirk Dark Shadow. Semi-sentient manifestation of his shadow. Can speak and act independently. Unstable in darkness, if Dark Shadow misbehaves, I may get off with only a warning, Takayami said, taking the card back. However, if I am not cautious, I could be issued a citation or even. But then Darkness asked, how shall, yes, about that. I'm still a youth by my world's reckoning. Yeah, where are you guys staying? Maybe I can find a way for some of you to stay with me. Hey, don't worry about it. We woke up in an apartment, not Kazuma. Smitty said it's ours and stuff. We could live off the rations I create for a while, so I'm not worried about that. Also, we have top of Megumi. Smith said, yeah, which is why we should Kazuma. Well, anyway, hope there was a commotion behind that. He groaned and turned to see Aqua being accosted by a tough-looking man in odd clothing. Aqua was crying, and the man had her arms pinned to her behind Kazuma. Coils of thick rope shot out of Kazuma's hand, wrapping them. Kazuma, what the hell are you doing? The man bellowed, his muscles. He ripped free of the. He didn't get far. He grunted. Damn it, what are you even doing? You shall not assault my friends. Darkness snapped. Back off, oh, fuck this. Woods, little hell. The vines and tendrils. A man who appeared to be made out of bark, and I have her and the Kazuma saw on me. Kazuma roared. Oh no, you're a rocket. Fight. Dark Shadow screamed. They're too close. Megumi, what the hell is wrong with you kids? Death. He dodged. Please don't blow him up. Uraraka told Kazuma, then shoved Death arms towards the ceiling as, I'm not an idiot. We'd leveled the whole building. Kazuma. At the same time, Dark Shadow shred. I already have a boyfriend. Y'all need to cut vines and roots. Kindle. Kazuma cried, burning the tendrils racing for Megumin and slicing those that came after him with his sword. Kazuma, you're right. They're not villains. They're. She was. Kazuma, halt you. The water from the hoses suddenly went back on itself, driving the firefighter into a wall. Aqua stood up. How dare you use my. Aqua snarled. I am the goddess. Well, that was easy. Kazuma, he heard rap, and now the. Uraraka groaned again, getting shakily to her feet. My parents. You might want to put your sword away and put your hands over your head, pro-heroes. It would be best if you didn't slaughter the police, Takayami said. I might have overreacted. Yeah, Uraraka. I probably should have known better, but well, oh shit. Kazuma groaned. He put his hands up. Would you all believe this was just a simple misunderstanding?
He's